in reaching the grand final, but whatever happens here today, can you look back on the season as one with great satisfaction?
Yeah, thanks very much. I think you exaggerated a little bit there, Mike, but no, it's been a wonderful season for Brisbane, for the Strikers, for Queensland soccer in general, and you know, I've said today is we'll go down in history in Australian soccer, and obviously the best team will win on the day.
Frank, you've been around a long time, you played in many big competitions, but you said during the week that this game is probably going to cap off a great career.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, for a lot of reasons. I think the surprise of us being in the grand final for a lot of people, and I think just the occasion. As you see today, we've got lovely weather, and I predict a sellout here at Suncorp Stadium. I think they might have to lock the gates.
What about injury problems? Are you okay?
I'm fine at the moment. You know, we'll see how the game goes, obviously.
Wayne Knipe?
We'll see Wayne now. The doctor's going to have a quick look at him, and we'll decide once we get inside.
Can you believe there's going to be about 35,000 people here?
Could be more, mate.
Well done, Frank. You've been a great ambassador to soccer. Whatever happens today, thank you for some great memories anyway. Yeah,
thank you guys as well. Had a good season in terms of coverage, and I hope we have a good one again today.
All right. Well, it's going to be a memorable day for Frank Farina, memorable day for the Brisbane Strikers, but it's also been a memorable week. Let's now go to this package with Andrew Orsatti.
I think in every player that's sitting here in front of you now, it will be the biggest day so far in their careers. Mine included, believe it or not.
When even a well-travelled pro like Frank Farina gets carried away with the hype, you know it's something big.
Do you know who Frank Farina is?
Well, one of them. I like number 24, he kicks butt.
Number 24, Nick Meredith. A knee injury means Meredith's dream is over. But don't tell the Queenslanders that, they're only just warming up. An historic occasion, not only a first for soccer, but the first national decider of any football code in Queensland. Brisbane earned a week's rest by virtue of their major semi-final victory a fortnight ago, allowing more time to absorb the grand final atmosphere.
The message coming from Sydney United is that they're going to come up here and kick our asses. Whether that's in the first 20 minutes or 30 minutes, if they come up and want to play that sort of game, we won't be taking a backward step at all.
On the first day, tickets sold at a rate of 800 an hour. The bandwagon was now bulging with thousands of instant soccer converts, just add winners. Even the sponsors came to the party offering cash incentives.
There are considerable bonuses if they win.
Strikers! Strikers! Club mascot 4 led the charge as the Strikers invaded the city centre on Thursday, their final public appearance.
It's fantastic, mate. This is what it's all about, and hopefully they'll all turn up on Sunday, but it's brilliant, mate.
Who's going to win on Sunday?
Before a ball had even been kicked, a National League attendance record was assured. After averaging 5,000 in the regular season, suddenly overwhelming demand meant tickets for the final were scarce.
Are you going to the game on Sunday?
No, that's what I'm actually here for, to see if I can get some tickets, because I'd love to go.
The Strikers are the flavour of the month in Brisbane. Whether it continues next month depends on victory. Having already created history, will the burden be too great for Farina, a rookie coach banking on a mix of youth and seasoned veterans?
Any advice to the players?
Enjoy it, mate. Enjoy it while they can, because Sunday's going to be a war.
Whatever the outcome, Brisbane will never forget this week.
Yes, tremendous hype in Brisbane this week. One of the players trying to spoil the party for the Brisbane Strikers is the Sydney United goalkeeper, Zeljko Kalac. The big day's arrived. How are you feeling?
Very confident, actually. I'm very relaxed. I think we're in for a big day.
Now, the hype, you've probably soaked some of it in over the past couple of days. All of Queensland, it seems, is hyped up for the Strikers to win. Will that help you get motivated, or will the crowd help them roll over the top of you?
That's probably the whole of Australia, bar Sydney, is going for Brisbane. But look, it doesn't matter. I mean, come 90 minutes when we get out there, no one else can win the game but us 11 that are on the park, and that's all it boils down to.
How are you pleased with the preparation, the final run yesterday, the defence in front of you? There was a story now that Richard Plesa may well be the sweeper in front of you.
Yeah, that's right. Richard will be the sweeper. Genc is going to play. So we're very solid and very, very confident.
So plenty of surprises there in the selection, obviously.
Yeah, it was see how the old boys can cope with us.
All right, Zeljko, Kalac, thank you for your time. Very good luck today in the big grand final. I know that this is your last game for the club, and there's only one result you want.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I've come back for. I'm here grand final day now. I just want to win it. It's only 90 minutes away.
Fantastic. Good luck today.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.
That's Zeljko Kalac, the Sydney United goalkeeper. It's been a tough week for the club. Of course, that crowd trouble at the preliminary final at the Parramatta Stadium has caused Soccer Australia to suggest they may kick the club out of the competition. Let's see what effect that had on the build-up for Sydney United.
Sydney United's passage into their first grand final since 1988 veered into trouble within minutes of last Sunday night's final whistle. The club, along with South Melbourne, were held accountable for the crowd violence at Parramatta Stadium. Soccer Australia threatening drastic action.
If the charges are found to be proved, they will be excluded from the National League.
The inquiry will take a month, a shadow over coach Branko Culina's grand final preparations. The squad gathered on Tuesday evening for a light session by Culina's normal standards.
It was an unbelievable feeling after the game when we beat South Melbourne, and I think the momentum's carried on now, and we're having fun at training. We're bonding pretty well, and hopefully we've got the stamina and the commitment in Brisbane.
If Captain Mark Babic was still affected by an Achilles problem, he was doing a good job of hiding it. Also back on the track after a fortnight of treatment on his ankle was midfielder Aytek Genc.
It's hard to say. It's probably 50-50 at the moment. I'll go home and get some ice on it and see how it pulls up.
Genc's replacement in the playoffs, Jason Culina, needed no reminding from Dad his spot is once again on the line. Overall, it was a week of bonding and routines that borrowed from other sports. On Wednesday evening, Sydney United left it to the pros. A change of pace to break the monotony took them to the basketball international between Australia and Croatia.
The Sydney United Soccer Club. This Sunday, the Pumas will play the Brisbane Strikers.
Even on a night at the basketball, Branko couldn't escape the media nor the Brisbane fans. From Thursday, all doors to the media closed. The daily training continued, but now it's a battle of the mind. On grand final day, Sydney United are fighting for their first national championship and quite possibly the club's survival in the Ericsson Cup. The stakes could hardly be higher.
Let's go. Well, Sydney United were the runaway minor premiers and no doubt the most consistent side of the Ericsson Cup season, but Branko Culina, there could be a little bit of pressure on the boys out there today.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's a grand final, you expect that, but it's nothing new to us, and last week was a real test for us. We came through it, and I think it's good grounding for today.
Branko, there's been a lot said and done during the course of the week. I guess a lot of verbal abuse has been thrown from both sides of the border, but what do you say about all that?
Look, I think that's all pre-match how can I say, entertainment, so to speak. I think it's important to, if that meant that today's crowd was encouraged by that, then that's great, because I said the atmosphere here today is absolutely superb, and if something that Frank and I had said to contribute to that, we're not ashamed.
The pitch have been very critical.
The pitch, well, look, I mean, it's a shame that it's such a big event like the grand final doesn't have a better surface to play on, but look, it's the same for both sides.
Now, what's the formation? There's a lot of interest regarding the sweeper role. Can you divulge anything?
Yeah, Richard Plesa will play sweeper.
Okay, well, is that a surprise?
No.
Okay, Branko, congratulations. You've got this far. Let's hope for your sake and for the fans' sake that United do go all the way. It's been a remarkable season nonetheless.
Yeah, thank you. I just hope it's a great game. I mean, we've got a packed house today, and it's just great for the code, and let's hope that the best team wins.
Okay, Branko Culina there. Kyle, back to you.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Tom O'Lara is there with Branko Culina, coach of Sydney United. If you've just joined us, this is Grand Final Day 97, coming to you live from the Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane. Beautiful, sunny Brisbane today, and we've got a stack of great football entertainment coming up. Stay with us right throughout the rest of the afternoon. Joining me on this great, glorious ride for Australian soccer, Andy Harper, captain of Marconi, our regular panellist. Andy, good afternoon.
Pleasure to be here, Kyle.
And a veteran of many, many grand finals, Johnny Warren, former soccer captain. Good afternoon.
Fine, mate.
Guys, it is electric here in Brisbane today.
It's fantastic for football. I mean, there's an old thing that's said, isn't it? But football, the winner. I think Brisbane, an area which has prolifically produced players but never had a team which has reached this stage. And Sydney United, a team we've all admired throughout the year for the quality of football they've played.
Harps, what have you picked up the last couple of days up north, as it is for you? You're a Sydney sider.
Yeah, excitement. The place is just jumping, it's exploding with soccer, which is, as John said, it's fantastic to see. And I'm very grateful to have had 2 fantastic experiences this year, travelling to Perth, where the feeling for soccer is very similar. And this today is just unbelievable. That the kids everywhere with their Strikers gear on, of all ages, and excited, chanting. The buses are full in the streets with Strikers gear, the pubs, everything. It's just gone crazy.
It really is an event for Brisbane, for Australian soccer, but of course a football match is the centrepiece. So often the hype can destroy the football, Johnny. The nerves, the tension gets too much for players.
It can. I mean, looking ahead, and we'll discuss it in greater length, is you have a question mark on Brisbane, that it can be a two-edged sword. You know, the expectation level is so high. They are favoured, I would think, at home to win, and as the game drifts on and they haven't converted that superiority, of course, the thing can change around.
OK, we'll move on, gentlemen. We've got plenty to look at. Of course, it has been season 21 for the National Soccer League. Some great moments, some great records broken. Let's wrap them all up in this package, a season review of 96-97.
New season will be highlighted by not only 2 new clubs, but also 7 new coaches, from defending champions the Melbourne Knights to newcomers Collingwood and Perth. There's plenty of enthusiasm among the game's stars for the season ahead.
Butianis through the centre, little chip, brilliant goal! Butianis. And there is a new name on the trophy called the Johnny Walker Cup. And the name is the Collingwood Warriors.
Like anything else, the offer might not come up again, so I've really got to do what's best for me and my family. I think I've left it in much better condition when I took over.
The reported $420,000 salary is the highest ever offered to a Socceroos coach.
To put together the best side we can, for them to perform as to the very best of their ability, and to do that we needed the very best leadership and coaching we could get, and Venables it.
What do you mean local coaches? We've never had an Australian-born Socceroos coach.
We're just going to have to work hard with the time we've got.
Yesterday, the gates were locked 10 minutes before kick-off, with 17,582 fans crammed into an Aussie Rules oval. It was not only a new record crowd for Perth, but the second biggest crowd in 21 years of the National Soccer League.
He comes on, there's a couple of strikers on the pitch, in fact, who have stolen the match ball. Well, what can you say? They have their 15 seconds of fame.
Nice start to the match for Ernie Taplite. The ball comes into the net, both chance, goal! Robbie Hooker's done it! 3 from 3. And a great occasion tonight.
The difficulty, or one of the complicating factors, was that the Collingwood Warriors Soccer Club was entering the competition this year, and in fact did so before there were the appropriate agreements in place between the Collingwood Football Club and any of the other entities.
Collingwood Football Club have both a moral responsibility and a very big legal responsibility to ensure that the Collingwood Soccer Club finishes this season.
Under pressure following a string of poor results, culminating in the 2-0 home defeat against Perth, the Olympic Board took drastic action.
Well, Australian players are under the Terry Venables microscope once again. Slater handing it off to Muscat. He's got past his man, just fends him off. The back post of Vidmar's in here! A third for Australia! And it's that man again, Aurelio Vidmar.
Anyone who's a full-time coach out there at the moment can thank Frank Arrock, because he was the pioneer of full-time coaching in this country.
South Melbourne fans honoured their former champion, Paul Wade, lining up for his 340th and final National League appearance.
It gives me great pleasure to present the Premiership Trophy for the Ericsson Cup to the leading team in Australia this season, Sydney United.
And there is the final whistle, and the Brisbane Strikers have created history here at Parramatta. The grand final will be held at Suncorp in a fortnight, and just look at the delight on the faces.
Yes, that's it, the grand final from the Suncorp Stadium. We're coming to you live from Brisbane. This is Grand Final Day 97. What a magnificent picture that is. A full house expected today. That's about 38,000. Let's now pick up some of the pre-match entertainment. This is Ganga Jang.
much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great afternoon. Enjoy the game. And may the best team win, as long as it's Brisbane.
Okay, that's part of the local sentiment there, the parochialism of the Queenslanders, of course, getting right behind the Strikers of the 38,000 here today. I'm sure there'll be most of them going for a hometown win. This, of course, is Lang Park in its former life, a rugby league ground. There was a game played here on Friday night. That concerns some of the soccer coaches and players because rugby league players have a different use for grass than we do in the game of soccer. Let's now go down and check with Paul Williams, our match commentator today, on the condition of the pitch.
Thanks, Kyle. Well, I can honestly say it's an absolutely magnificent sight down here from the pitch. Not just the crowd behind me, but the Queenslanders have turned on a Brisbane bright blue sky. It's superb. I rang the Weather Bureau this morning. They're expecting a high of 23 degrees. It's idyllic for the spectators, but probably just a little bit warmer than what the players were hoping for. There's no wind on the pitch. It's absolutely perfect. A slight breeze perhaps blowing towards the northern end. But what there has been a lot of talk about, Kyle, is the pitch itself. Now, I spoke to Branko Culina yesterday and he was very disappointed with the quality of the pitch, mainly because there was a rugby league game played here on Friday night. It was very wet in Brisbane and the pitch is cut up quite badly. To me it looks fairly uneven and fairly bumpy, though I did have a quick chat to Robbie Ennish before he ran off. He would use a screw-in stud today and he feels that the roll of the ball will be fine on the pitch. So all in all, it's absolutely looking perfect conditions down here, Kyle. Enjoy the game up there and back to you.
Thanks, Paul, and good luck with you with the match commentary. Paul Williams, our commentator for Grand Final 97. We're coming to you live from the Suncorp Stadium. Guys, a couple of late injury problems for both coaches. Aytek, Genc, a Socceroo, was hurt in the final series, Johnny. We think he's going to start the game, and also Wayne Knipe, who scored that goal to get Brisbane here, dislocated his elbow on Friday evening. So worries for both coaches.
Yeah, and also, I mean, there's the Farina factor as well, which we've forgotten. Missed the other game, but has only trained once this week. So, and the other interesting one, of course, is Plesa coming in as the sweeper, or the last man more correctly, and Babic going into his normal marking role, which will be on Farina.
Yeah, so how would you see that matchup, Harps? Babic on Farina?
Well, contemporarily, there's two crocs facing each other. I mean, Mark Babic is his first game back. Yeah. And there's got to be question marks over his fitness, and Frank as well. So they might cancel each other out. And also Marusic was supposedly injured for last week, had a whale of a game. Now he was either dumbing last week or will still be carrying a niggling injury into this game.
There's lots of rumours around, Kyle. One of them here today too on the Brisbane lineup is that maybe Hews starting for Phillips. So whether that's just...
well, that would be on the cards because Gary Phillips didn't hold down a spot for most of the middle part of the season. He's only come back in really off the bench in that first leg of the major semi. When
I would see his contribution being greater coming on at half-time when the pace of the game and a little bit more room. A very experienced player, of course, a great pass for the ball. And once that first half, those individual duels and the heat's gone out of them, then he can come on and perhaps contribute more than if he did start the match.
Psychologically, Brisbane have got this very odd mix. A lot of experienced plus 30 guys, a lot of teenagers almost. There's no one in that middle bracket, or very few of the 100-game sort of players. Now, I guess the older guys will be expected to cope with the pressure. The young guys?
Well, that's the question mark you have on Brisbane. I mean, it's been so much attention on the team this week. I mean, and of course, then your level of expectation as the home team is much higher. And that's the question mark I have on Brisbane, not that it's going to turn out that way, of course.
Okay, we'll confirm those lineups in a moment. We can also now have a chat with the Grand Final referee. It's his first appointment to the big game. With Mike Tomalaris, it's match referee Simon Micallef.
Yes, Kyle, well, a lot's been said about the two teams that are playing out there today, but spare a thought for the man in the middle. It's his first grand final, 26-year-old Simon Micallef. Congratulations. How do you feel, Simon?
Thanks very much, Mike. Pretty much excited. Looking forward to the game. It's something that you want to play for all year, or referee for all year. And I couldn't ask for a better team as well with the officials I got here today. John Bowler as senior linesman, Rob Eadie and Mark Shield as fourth official. We'll go out there composed and do the best that we can.
There has been a lot said during the course of the week. Are you expecting a lot of spice out there between the two teams?
Probably a bit of heat for the first 5 or 10 minutes, but we're going to control that really early on to try and create a good flowing game.
And how do you control a game like this, the biggest game, no doubt, of your career?
Circumstances change, I guess. It just depends on the actual outcome of the game. I'm not going to try and perceive what's going to happen out there. I'll refer it to the way the game needs to be accordingly adjudicated.
Okay, well done. Congratulations and have a good game.
Thanks very much.
Back to you now, Kyle.
Thanks, Mike Tomalaris there in the referee's room with Simon Micallef. He looks pretty relaxed, which is good. He's got a very tough job today taking control of the big game, Grand Final 97. I think if we can take a look now on the park, there's a little bit more activity happening as we start to get towards kick-off time at about 3 p.m. Eastern. And there the Brisbane Strikers are warming up, Johnny. Harps, you're a player. What are these guys going through now?
Well, they would have had an amazing rush of adrenaline when they ran through the field, through the tunnel rather, and greeted by 30-odd thousand people screaming for them. And you can see now the pitches and hear the sound probably. They're getting a tremendous reception, and they'll be excited beyond belief. And it's a tremendous feeling. In fact, to be honest, I'd rather be out there, and I'm getting goosebumps most certainly.
Yeah, so am I. This is huge.
Well, they're almost showing through the pants on my legs at the minute, but it's a tremendous feeling. From side to side they go, and they get greeted at either side by a very vociferous crowd, and it'll be good for them to just absorb the atmosphere for the time being, and it helps the early game nerves to get a bit of this out of the way. I mean, they'll be running on air at the moment.
Yeah, Johnny, it's a time though that the crowd is great, but I'm sure and many psychologists have documented this. The heart starts beating too quick, the legs go to rubber. I mean, this is the thing for guys like Wayne Knight. There he is. He's turned out with his blue and yellow hair. I mean, what a first season for that guy.
I mean, we posed that question on the younger players for Brisbane, but I think like the performance of not just Knight, but of course Kasey Wehrman this year, who's come in and really has had such a huge contribution to Brisbane, and Hews and Bell and so on, that perhaps we're being a little bit unfair to them to say that perhaps the occasion can be too much for them. Yeah. I mean, Wehrman is a big match player. He proved that in the qualification for the under-20s up in Tahiti, where against New Zealand he was really the big occasion. He was the one who scored the 2 goals, dominated midfield, so they've got that going for them as well.
Ironically today, for I think at least 3 Brisbane players, Alan Hunter, Danny Wright, quite possibly Gary Phillips, I don't know what his plans are. Could be their last game for the club, because they're all, Hunter's definitely leaving, Danny Wright's definitely retiring, Gary Phillips, we don't want to rush him off too early, but obviously what a finale.
Well, I think Gary Phillips, I disagree with John actually. I think that if he's fit and ready to go and playing well in Frank's eyes up until this game, I think the experience factor will probably see him in the settling period, and then bringing the younger fella on when things have broken down a little bit. Well, we'll stand to be corrected on that, but Gary's a championship winner with Sydney Olympic. He's been around since Adam. He's got a lot to contribute, and he'll be a very calming influence. If he plays, he'll just sit in the midfield, spray the ball around, and act as a real settling influence on the side.
Sydney United, of course, out warming up. Johnny, what do you make of the home ground advantage? Because Sydney United are the minor premiers. They won by 9 points, which is 3 wins. They were clearly the most consistent football team. But is that negated by this home ground where the Strikers...
Well, Brisbane always hard. Andy can talk more than anyone what it's like to play up here in Brisbane. I mean, not many teams leave here. This is a huge occasion. They have beaten. In fact, I don't think Sydney United have scored here, have they, this year?
No, they
lost twice here.
3-0 and 1-0.
And the most prolific scoring team in the history of NSL couldn't score here twice. So, I mean, there's that aspect to it as well.
Thanks, Frank.
I just think Brisbane may be a little bit more focused too. I mean, the fact, the points you make about the older players could be their last chance to play a grand final. This is the day to do it. There's no more chances. This is it. Whereas Sydney United, for reasons out of their control, they haven't maybe not been as focused. There's a lot of talk of the players leaving, players going over to England and players going to other clubs and so on. So maybe Brisbane, in a sense, are more focused.
Yeah, well, that is news that is all but confirmed that Zeljko, Kalac and Robert Ennis will be joining Portsmouth, the club owned by Socceroo coach Terry Venable. So certainly they're off. And like you say, Johnny, if the rumour mill is anywhere near correct, anything up to half a dozen other Sydney United players will be at different clubs next year. And there's Richard Plesa just doing his warm-up there. A guy coming in, I watched training yesterday, Johnny, and Richard Plesa did play in that sweeper spot then. And I just think that even though it's about only the 4th or 5th game he has started this year, he just seems to be best suited. Of the available talent left, he's a good choice.
Well, that was the trouble, the tragedy of losing Ennis, wasn't it? It meant that you had to reorganise the defence or not. They've gone just for the one change, which I think is good. Babic is a marker. His clash with Farina will be very, very decisive into the outcome of the game. And I think Plesha is probably a little bit faster than Babic, no?
Yeah, they're pretty similar.
At the back, so he's got that extra speed.
He's very used to that position. He's a quality player, Richard Plesha. The fact that he hasn't played much this season in the first team is testament to the quality in front of him, not on his own ability.
Yeah, sure.
He'll slip in. He's a youth international. He's got ample technique to deal with the situation. It depends on his mentality and psychology.
I was at training here at Suncorp yesterday watching both teams, and I don't know whether this was an omen, but spontaneously, Frank Farina didn't order it, the Brisbane players started practicing their penalty kicks at the end of the training session.
Yeah.
So let's hope that it doesn't come down to that. But Sydney United didn't look interested at all in taking penalties at training yesterday. They were quite focused, did a lot more work than Brisbane did, but the Brisbane players just must have thought, oh gee, we better practice a few spot kicks just in case the grand final comes down to that.
Yeah.
Of course, just to remind those viewers who aren't aware, we have a situation of 90 minutes of play. If there's not a winner at the end of 90 minutes, we go into sudden death extra time, and the golden goal applies, which means that the first team who scores is the winner at that point. Great excitement there, and that is how we decided the elimination final in Adelaide, Andy. You were suffering at the end of a golden goal when Adelaide City scored. And also in the minor semis, so maybe that's a pointer. We've already had 2 finals decided by the sudden death golden goal, so maybe that's what's coming up.
Yeah, it's a terrible way to lose a game, but any games that you lose is terrible, and it's better than penalties, I'll have to say that. So at least it's a bona fide way of securing the result of a game.
Johnny, let's start getting down to tin tacks with the tactical matchups. Where's it going to be won or lost?
Mate, there are just so many of them all across the park. I mean, you could go through all the matchups, couldn't you, saying they're decisive. In the press here this morning, when asked during the week, I went for Trajkovski and Troy Cranney. But I mean, equally, you could argue on all the matchups. But I think for Sydney United to be that really free-flowing game that they are capable of, that Trajkovski needs to be in. He gives such good penetration on the right, good delivery in, especially for Zeljko from the right-hand side, and he's clashed with Troy Cranney, and both players had fabulous seasons. That is a very, very interesting one for me.
To give you an idea, fellas, of some of the hype, I was talking to Alan Vesey yesterday, the chief executive of the Strikers. They have their own internet homepage. They had messages from around the world, from Queensland expatriates, sending them messages of good luck. And someone at the Chelsea Football Club, Chelsea of course won the FA Cup final the week before, sent a message of good luck to Brisbane Strikers. For those seeking omens, those little things might start to stack up.
Yeah. I think there's been tremendous stories like that coming through all day, Kyle, about Queensland ran out of buses to get the country people to the game here. I was talking to Alex Murphy, an ex-SBS boy, who organised 4 buses from Noosa. 1 busload didn't have tickets. They were coming down on the punt that they'd get some tickets.
Right.
There's stories like that cut across the whole city, and it's just beautiful to be part of it.
Yeah, it is a fantastic atmosphere. This is an event. This is sort of, I guess, the thing that happens with a Super Bowl or an AFL Grand Final. They are events in themselves, and of course this is the decider for Australian soccer. The championship will be decided today, and a first for either Brisbane or Sydney United. Of course, a little bit of irony there for Alan Hunter, Johnny. He played for Sydney United in 1988 when they lost.
Farina.
And Mark Farina. Today he's on the same side trying to beat his old club.
Yeah, we talk of players. I think Alan's probably the most influential player in Brisbane, and to evidence of that is that when he was out during the season, Brisbane looked as though they could have fallen apart. But since he's come back, he's had that stability. He will, I believe, become captain of Carlton next year. He has been a fabulous servant for Queensland soccer and also for the Socceroos, and now to be an integral part of what's going to be a very exciting development, and that of course is the Carlton coming into the league next year. So Big Al will have a big say in what happens today.
I concur most certainly with those sentiments. He'll likely pop up and cause a lot of trouble from corners and other set pieces. He's a deadly man in the air from such situations, and I'm sure that the Brisbane attack will be looking for those, for him in particular, and that big bald ugly head of his on the near post for corners.
But he will be with Milicic probably, yeah?
Yep.
He'll be marking Milicic, who again had a terrific...
I'll tell you that.
Okay, as we take a look at those continued preparations for the Grand Final 97 coming to you live from the Suncorp Stadium. Of course, there were over 500 goals this season in the Ericsson Cup. It was a great season for goals. Lots of records broken. We had the tough job of picking 5 nominees for Goal of the Year. We did that. The votes were up to you. Here are the winners of the Goal of the Year competition for you viewers and the winning goal.
Thanks for the many thousands of votes in the SBS Goal of the Year competition. 3 entrants have been judged as the winners of the viewer prizes. They've won hours of fun at home, a PlayStation, along with 5 of the hottest computer games, including FIFA 97, plus a cool black suede jacket with matching cap, courtesy of EA Sports. Let's reveal how you judged the 5 nominations for Goal of the Year. At number 5, goal B by Kresimir Marusic with 5% of the vote. Number 4, goal A by Brad Hassel, picking up 10% of the vote. In third place, goal E by Matthew Bingley with 13%. The runner-up, goal D by Frank Farina, received 15% of the vote. And the winner of the SBS Goal of the Year is goal C by Vas Kalajarakos, attracting 57% of the vote.
It's on fire! Well, what a moment for Kalajarakos, the hat-trick, all inside the first half.
And congratulations to the 3 prize winners. Ricardo Rossadoni from Blackwood in South Australia, Bill Dalgleish from Bull Creek in Western Australia, and Margaret Elford from Maryborough in Queensland.
Congratulations to those viewers. Thanks for the many thousands of entries to Goal of the Year. We'll be in touch with details. And congratulations to Vas Kalajarakos from the Perth Glory, Goal of the Year from SBS, and a great start to the Perth Glories. Time to, didn't win a trophy this year, but excited a lot of people, including Vas Kalajarakos, with that goal, Johnny.
Interesting, the voting, isn't it? I mean, you could argue that his other goal that he scored against Sydney United was a better one than that, but the viewers are going for that one. That's fair enough.
Yeah. Okay, part of the build-up, we're expecting today Thor, the mascot of the Brisbane Strikers, supposedly, allegedly, will drop out of the sky as part of a tandem parachute jump. Now, Thor is obviously a brave man. He's thrown his Viking uniform away and he's jumped into a parachute. He didn't want to come in a chariot. He wanted to come in the most spectacular fashion. And to make things even-handed, which is very good of the promoters here, the Puma, the Sydney United mascot, will also be dropping from the sky, hopefully not onto the players who are still warming up out on the ground. And as we take some more live pictures here from Suncorp, once again, just a reminder, you're watching Grand Final 97 on SBS TV, live and exclusive, free-to-air right around the country, except in Brisbane, of course, where viewers are getting along to the game in their thousands, Johnny.
Clint Bolton there. We talked about Kalac earlier, about his experience and influence. Clint Bolton, to me, back to his really best form. I think his form of recent times is good, if not better, than ever after a bit of a downer after he was dropped from the Olympic team. I think he's back to his best.
Okay, we have a confirmation now of those team lineups. We'll go through them in full, Johnny, but we have confirmation. Your hunch was right. Gary Phillips has been omitted from the starting 11. He's on the bench. And also confirmation from Sydney United that Aytek Genc comes into the 11. And here's a tough family story. Coach Branko Culina has dropped his 16-year-old son, Jason Culina, who was no slouch in the final series. So, Johnny, that'll cause a bit of a stink in the household, I would think.
Well, the option is for Jason to come on, of course, but Branko going for the experience of Genc early on in what's going to be a very heated atmosphere, particularly for Sydney United. The other one doesn't surprise me, and I take Andy's point, saying that his experience early on, Phillips, that we're talking about now, would be valuable, but Phillips really is a passer of the ball rather than a holder of the ball. And I believe that him coming on in the second half, as we saw him, I think, in the earlier game with Sydney United, he can just open it up. His vision is so good, first-time passer of the ball. But anyhow, that's Farina's decision, and Hews in, of course, probably a more mobile player, able maybe to do the Marusic job.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point you bring up. It's how Brisbane are going to cope with the Sydney United mobility, which is going to be a big key to them securing any sort of positive result today.
But what a day for Chay Hews, another one of these players that Frank Farina's uncovered this year. Wehrman, Knight, Hews, and Frank obviously punting on them. He's not going to take a backward step on grand final day. Great vote of confidence in the young guys.
They'll have a go, there's no doubt about that. I just don't think it'll be too much for them. I think they'll rise to the occasion. And tremendous pictures of the colour and the atmosphere and the support for Brisbane and just the joy that the whole event has brought to the city can be seen on the people's faces in the stadium.
I hope Thor's going to land on it, not going to land on his head.
Yeah, eyes towards the skies at the moment. Of course, Thor.
If he lands on his head, we're in big trouble.
Well, that's right. The mascots of both clubs will parachute into the stadium. That obviously, given by the colours, looks like to be the Puma, the Sydney United mascot. of course, he probably won't get welcomed that much. He better land right in the middle of the pitch, Johnny. If he landed in the outer, I think that might be the last we'd see of the Sydney United mascot.
Get lynched.
And that's where he's heading for, onto the pitch. We're now just about 25 minutes away from kick-off time as the colour and excitement of the grand final day 97 continues to unfold here on SBS. Remember, it's Brisbane Strikers versus Sydney United. The game kick-off just about 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We hope you're enjoying this telecast. Fantastic colour, historic day for Australian football, and a day long remembered regardless of the result here in Brisbane. Okay, so we'll see soon if they're on target. Harps, now the players go back into the dressing room. The final words, they're inside now, the dressing room, they're away, they've done their warm-up.
Yeah.
They're hopefully loose and ready to go.
In either dressing room, it'll be the elder players who are starting to circulate, who put their $2 worth in. But they're fantastic moments in a player's career. The first time they run out for the warm-up, they've received the cheer from the crowd, is one moment. Walking back into the dressing room and doing your final preparations for the big game is another moment you'll just never forget. You get your nose is just full of the atmosphere, the liniment, all these cliches, just terrific stuff. And they'll be really buzzing up now and looking forward for the ultimate moment, or the penultimate moment, and that's walking on for kick-off.
Yeah, and there will be a tremendous roar there as we see these parachuters wind their way into the stadium, Suncorp Stadium here in Brisbane, venue for this grand final. And I'm sure if Thor successfully makes the descent, he will get the biggest roar of all time. Just trying to make out what's.
He's got the helmet off. I mean, that's.
No, I think this is. They've got 4 parachutes, I think, haven't they?
Okay.
So they've got a colour for each, and then the supporters on another one.
Okay.
The mascots on another one. Well, that's my summation, I think, because that certainly didn't look like Thor.
Here we go, touchdown for. We'll see who it is. The Aussie flag flying. That's great to see.
That's the Brisbane one.
And that's the Brisbane right on centre circle. So another omen there. Let's stack these ones up, these omens. So obviously a
Been
great.
up there for a while. He probably started with normal coloured hair. It's taking that long to get there.
And waiting on now the remaining parachutes.
Yeah,
this could be Thor here. Or is this the Puma? That's the Puma.
Feral cat himself.
The feral cat. Oh, well, now be careful, Harps, because we're being very even-handed here. We don't want to see a punch-on between the feral cat and Thor.
No. And not being a parachutist by trade, I can imagine what's going through his mind at the moment. I only imagine.
If you've just joined us, this is Grand Final Day 97 in the Ericsson Cup, the National Soccer League of Australia. It's the Brisbane Strikers versus Sydney United. Game time is about 3 p.m. Eastern. Plenty of build-up to come yet. We're hoping to see a successful arrival of the two club mascots. After jumping out of planes at probably 3,000 or 4,000 feet, they're certifiably crazy. And the Puma,
appropriately dressed in brown,
has arrived successfully, and a great roar for the Sydney United mascot. The Puma as he untangles himself, and no damage done.
And all the entertainment so far has just been tremendous. I think the band beforehand, this parachuting stuff, it's really helped people to enjoy the day.
And of course the shot there of the Sydney United fans. Many have made the trip up from Sydney, and here we see more colour, more parachuters. So we've got 2 down already, 3 more on the way that we know of. So fantastic. Johnny, the history in football often... Oh, there he is. There's Thor. We finally turned him up.
Well, that's what I mean about him landing on his head. If he lands with those horns, he'll have a few more marks on the field.
Thor will get the biggest cheer of the day. What a brave man. There he is. He's loving every minute of it.
Good luck to him too. He's been a very good supporter of Brisbane over the years, hasn't he?
Fantastic. There he is, Thor, the Brisbane Strikers mascot.
Fantastic.
And that means the party is complete. The players have warmed up. The crowd's in. The mascots have arrived. It's all happening here at the Suncorp Stadium. You're watching Grand Final 97 live on SBS, the National Soccer League, the decider between the Brisbane Strikers and Sydney United, as Thor takes the accolades there in great form.
And welcome back to Brisbane on this fabulous day for Australian football. 15 minutes before kick-off in the 1997 Ericsson Cup Grand Final. A fabulous day here. Thanks to Carl Patterson for carrying us through up until now. He's taken a bit of a breather, as has Johnny Warren before the kick-off at 3 o'clock local time. Andy Harper is still with me, and it's a fabulous day, Andy. You know, on our travels we've been to many big occasions, of course, those fabulous Socceroo games against Argentina and those games at the Ramat Gan in Tel Aviv and World Youth Finals and World Cups and everything. This is going to be one of my greatest experiences here today.
Well, that's great that you should say so, because you've been around the world and you've broadcast the world game to Australian homes and you've seen it all. So that's a big wrap on what Brisbane have produced here. But I've got to concur. Look, I know we've said it a lot of times, but it is just brilliant to be part of this. The colour and the atmosphere, the noise is unbelievable.
It's fabulous. Now, I've looked around the stadium as I was taking my breather. I can't see an empty seat in the place, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Lang Park record is broken. It stands at around 41,000, by the way, for a rugby union match against the All Blacks some years ago, and ground officials are thinking that might be broken today. You guys spoke a lot about the expectation and the pressures of the game today, Andy. I want to explore that just a little bit more. If that is going to decide the game, which team is going to cope with the pressure more? Surely that swings towards Brisbane, who have got more of the older players, more of the players who have actually been in grand finals.
Yeah, I think that's a very reasonable point to make. If things start getting tough and tight, then they have got a lot of old heads, quality players. They're not just old heads making up the numbers. You've got Rod Brown, who's a proven goal scorer and have been around for a long time. Phillips, if he comes on. Alan Hunter is, I agree with John, the most influential player in the Brisbane side. And of course Frank Farina. And I actually think that Frank's going to have a disproportionate amount of pressure on him today, being the coach as well. I'm sure he'll be looking for his number 2, Peter Kasey, to take some of the pressure away from him. But I would not think it's too presumptuous to say that the weight of the world would be on Frank Farina's shoulders, and just remains to be seen how he copes with that. He's obviously a well-travelled player of immense quality as a player and an athlete. We hope that his contribution to the game is going to be as the elite player that he is, what he can contribute as a player, rather than from the coaching point of view, because that's all done now. Okay, now he has to relax and play.
Okay, now you're then implying that the Sydney United kids, I call them kids because apart from Kupresak and Genc, really, they are almost kids, might not be able to cope with it.
No, well, it's not a matter of that. It's and I don't think that the fact that the crowd will be parochially behind Brisbane will count against Sydney United necessarily, because the noise, they will respond to the noise whether it's going for them or against them. So that sort of discounts that factor. And it's not that they're inexperienced, they've all been around, and apart from Kupresak, as you mentioned, they've got Marusic, who's 27, and there's miles between, in age terms anyway, between them and the next player. But they've been around, they've contributed to the game, the Australian game, they've produced some beautiful football. They're very confident, they're almost cocky, and that can serve them well in games like today. And if they get off to a good start and they can get the butterflies out of their system early and relax and play, they'll be very hard to toss.
All right, and then let's get some technical views from you now on the formations and how they're going to play. Let's have a look at the Brisbane Strikers first. As we mentioned earlier, there has been a change to that lineup in that Hews is in instead of Phillips, I gather, playing in the same position.
Yeah, we'd imagine so, and that's probably to, as John said, to counter the mobility and the ferocious opening that's going to start this game. Craig Williams is a very underrated player and he's a very cool head. He'll be sweeping at the back there and he'll do the job. He's an unheralded player, as I said, but there's no worries about his ability. The key to that back formation is Alan Hunter. He's a dominating presence. He's good in the air. He's very vocal and organises things, and he'll be a focal point for the Brisbane cause today. As you said, Gary Phillips won't be there. Possibly the key to the Brisbane formation, and Frank's on record as saying so, is the 2 wide players, the Cranney boys, of immense talent, will get down the line and cross. They're great athletes. They've got terrific motors. Matched up against 2 Sydney United players who've also got great engines. So if they don't cancel each other out, both sets of wide players, I think we'll see a very open game.
2 explosive strikers in Brown and Farina. Behind them, Wehrman will be doing most of the prompting, the creative work, because Wright will obviously be doing more of a defensive role.
Yeah, in fact, Danny Wright will probably sit into the Chay Hews position, and Hews will probably push up a little bit more, I would think. But I've already got the Hews formation wrong once, and I thought Phillips would play, so we'll wait and see about that.
Okay, let's have a look at Sydney United, and what a star-studded bunch of players they are. Very talented, of course. 2 of them nominated for the Players Player of the Year award next week. That'll be decided. How are they going to work this formation?
Well, the key to Sydney United is speed and mobility, and it's not necessarily the formation. There's one formational thing which I'll refer to, but basically it's speed. Kalac will take the ball off crosses and free kicks and corners and release the ball in a wink of an eye. And what will happen is that ball will be released to Marusic at speed, at which time Milicic and Zeljko will head in opposite directions to both flanks, opening up the midfield for Marusic to either dribble himself or to release Milicic or Zeljko into an attacking position. It's worked for them all season, as we see pictures in the dressing room now. And I think that's the way they play. The beautiful thing about Sydney United, apart from the technical quality, is that on rare occasions this year only have they gone into their shell. They'll come out and they'll play an open game and they'll have a go at Brisbane, and on that basis it promises to be an exciting game.
It sure does, Andy. Okay, now just a small bit of housekeeping. As you saw those fabulous stills as we came out of that last station break, those fabulous photos, we thank Joe Sagajak, the photographer who took those photos for us. Joining us is our guest panellist until kick-off here, Nick Meredith, Brisbane Strikers player, who unfortunately will be missing from the grand final today because of injury. Nick, welcome to SBS. Welcome to the telecast.
Thanks, Les.
It is. I was saying to Andy earlier before you came into the studio that this is one of the most riveting, most engrossing occasions that I have experienced as a football commentator. You must be extremely proud.
Yeah, very proud as a Queenslander to see the people roll up and support like this. We only get crowds like this in State of Origin Rugby League, so yeah, it's amazing.
It's amazing. Okay, we were talking about the team lineups and you're familiar with them. How do you see the game going? How do you see this particular formation that Brisbane's going to field today knocking over the Pumas?
Well, I mean, we've played them 4 times, you know, so we know them and they know us. We've made one tactical change from what you've got there. We see Marusic as their key, so we're not going to play with a normal midfield. Gwynne will push into midfield and pick him up man for man, and Danny Wright will play as a stopper. So we see that as the key to them. If he gets on top, as he did probably in the first half in Sydney, he'll give us problems. So, you know, especially early on, we'll go with that.
So the way, would you agree with that, Andy, that that's the way to nullify Sydney United is to block Marusic out?
Yeah, possibly. It's all very well to say that beforehand, but these players, Marusic, Trimboli from South Melbourne, are used to being man-marked, and it's almost as though if they're not being man-marked, they get a bit lost. So it remains to be seen how. I'd prefer actually to have Nick Meredith in there because I think he's been a tower of strength to Brisbane United, and it's a cruel blow to them for him to have such a bad injury at the wrong end of the season.
Absolutely. The Gladiators are entering the arena here. It's a magnificent day for football. And the referee, by the way, is Simon Micallef, himself 26. Nick, that's a lot of pressure on the referee too, a young man.
Very difficult. He'll know what it's all about today. So yeah, he's got to keep his cool, obviously. So a big test for him as well.
How do you see that? He's very quick with the card, Simon. I spoke to him at the airport this morning, and I asked him not to send 6 players off in the first 5 minutes. Leave it till the end.
Yes.
What do you think?
Well, I think Simon deservedly has got the nod for the grand final. That's a personal opinion, I must say. The reason why I like playing in games that Simon is adjudicating is he establishes or attempts to establish a rapport with the players, which is not a common trait amongst the local referees. Okay, so he might have been a bit too officious on occasions. He's not on his Pat Malone there. But I think it's a well-deserved appointment, and I think that he'll do a good job. Well, I hope he does for the sake of the game.
Sydney United in the red and Brisbane in the predominantly yellow. I think we have to stand by for the national anthem shortly. The dignitaries are shaking hands with the players. Nick, have you been in the Brisbane dressing room on the way to kick off?
Yeah, I left there about 15-20 minutes ago.
And what's the feeling?
Pretty tense. I think there's a weight of expectation being a home final, you know. They see it as it's a big day for the code itself. If they can produce a win today, hopefully that'll really kick the code off. It's a turning point for the code in this state, I think. So there's that expectation there that is adding to the weight.
Well, for the sake of the fans and for the sake of Brisbane, and I'm not taking sides on this issue at all, but it would certainly be good if Brisbane won, because there's this tremendous following that's been whipped up would stay for all of next season.
Yeah, well, I'm the same. The result's sort of immaterial to me. I'm a bit objective, but whatever it takes to get the majority of these people back supporting our game, that's what I'm going for.
Well, Brisbane have never won the league, neither have Sydney United. Sydney United, in fact, have never won anything until they won the minor premiership. this season. It's been a fabulous season for them, but Brisbane have got the home advantage here. They've got this crowd of perhaps just under 40,000 here at Suncorp behind them, predominantly pro-Brisbane fans. That must have its own pressures. If you were playing today, Nick, would you be tense? Would you be nervous about this? You're a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, I'll keep my head. Pretty excited, I guess. This is what you play for, occasions like this. So you'd be nervous, but once they're out there now, I think they'll be fine. The nerves are in the dressing room, but they should be right now.
What about the young boys like Wehrman and so on?
Yeah, they're fairly cool-headed young boys, actually. They hang out together and that, and there's enough old guys in the team to keep them in control. So yeah, I think they'll be all right.
Okay, let's stand by for the national anthem, and then our commentators will be Paul Williams and Johnny Warren. Thanks.
Broadful soils and well fertile, our home is goodbye sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts, a beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair, in joyful strains that let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Good afternoon, everyone. Suncorp looks sensational, and the stage is now set for the 1997 Ericsson Cup final. Australia's soccer's most sought-after prize, the Ericsson Cup, and the name of the Brisbane Strikers or Sydney United will be engraved onto the trophy in just under 2 hours. It's already unprecedented today. And with me to savour the moment is my co-commentator, Johnny Warren.
Paul, what an honour to be here. I mean, this is stunning stuff. At the start of the season, you'd said this is how the season is going to end. I don't think anyone would have believed it, but it's a great day for our football, a great day for Brisbane in particular. They've taken the punt to bring back Farina. They've taken the punt to move here to Suncorp, and anyone who takes a punt, of course, we'd like to see them succeed, and they certainly have. On the other hand, of course, Sydney United, the quality of football they've played this year makes them many people's favourite to win today.
We'll now confirm the starting 11s, and tragedy struck twice in a week for Wayne Knipe. He dislocated his elbow at training on Friday and he misses the match, and this forces the hand of Frank Farina really to start himself up front with Rod Brown. Chay Hews is a surprise inclusion in midfield ahead of Gary Phillips. Australian under-20 player Kasey Wehrman will be alongside him, but to calm the nerves of the youngsters is the veteran Danny Wright, recalled to the side after an eye operation into the defence, and he's playing his final game before retiring. So what a way to finish for Danny Wright possibly, but a special mention to Wayne Knipe. He was left out of the Australian under-20 side during the week. That was a real body blow for him, but when he went down at training on Friday night and dislocated his elbow, you just really feel for the youngster. And Kasey Wehrman has a part to play today without a doubt as the two captains, Alan Hunter of Brisbane and Mark Babic of Sydney United, go through the pre-game formalities. Matthew Orr is the young Brisbane Strikers mascot there, just handing the coin back to today's referee, Simon Micallef. And, well, we say that it's a big day for players, but we forget the officials and the mascots and all of the other people that are involved in this magnificent scene here at Suncorp. Well, for Sydney United, Mark Babic, as I said, the captain, he returns to the side today to replace the unfortunate Robbie Ennish, who's suspended. In the reshuffle, Richard Plesa will move to sweeper, so that Babic and Velimir Kupresak, who also plays his final game before retiring, they'll be the markers. Aytek Genc, only just back from injury, got the nod ahead of Jason Culina in midfield. That was a surprise, but amongst the terrific trio of Zdrilic, Milicic and Marusic, well, you're likely to find Sydney United's potential match winner there. We can still see some of the markings on the pitch from the rugby league. And there is Simon Micallef. What a day for him. Talking to him before the game, he said it was the biggest game of his life. And this is a man who's refereed 5 international matches as well. So, stunning occasion for him. 10 weeks ago, his first daughter was born, Sarah Louise. And it's been a huge year for him, he was saying, in so many ways. And it will be a huge year too for either the Brisbane Strikers or for Sydney United as the match is underway. The 97 Ericsson Cup Grand Final. Already the Strikers have got a shot on goal with Hews and Kalac. Well, I'm sure he wasn't expecting to be called into action so quickly. And Chay Hews, who was thrust into the starting 11 virtually at the last minute, somewhat surprisingly, many people felt, ahead of Gary Phillips. Well, there's no signs of nerves there. Just look at that.
And significant, Paul, that move started with Kasey Wehrman. Brisbane need a big game from him today, and that was an ideal start for him.
Well, corner to the Strikers. Drilled low and to no effect in the end there. Hews is just playing with adrenaline at the moment in this opening minute. And even by grand final standards, today's match is really quite extraordinary. Not just because of the amazing crowd scenes that we've got, but the importance for both of these clubs. But it just can't be overlooked at all. Helped on by Hews. Farina with his first touch. Plesa leaving it to Kalac. Brisbane are looking to spread the Strikers message across the state. They're looking to grow the club. They've created this overnight following here, and it's a following of huge proportions. You really do have to be here to appreciate what we've got today. Farina. Babic fouls him. Simon Micallef in very quickly. There'll be no backing off from anything today from either set of players. There's no saving yourself for another day. This is the day. The biggest day for Branko Culina. He's off to Malaysia on Tuesday with the World Youth Squad. Brave head out of defence. A defence without Robbie Enesh, of course, who's suspended, touched on. Marusic through the centre. Milicic waiting down the left, but Marusic is brought down, and Zdrilic. Williams with a little bit of push and shove. A foul there on Marusic. There's no doubt that Marusic is the marquee player for Sydney United. He is the man to stop as he takes the free kick quickly. Genc whips it across Bolton. Comfortable, relieved to come out and gather the ball for the first time in the game. John, there's lots of talk about the crowd and how it will affect both sides. Will it work for Brisbane or against them, do you think?
It's a hard one. I think if it's going to work in the first period. That's the period it will take Sydney United to settle down. It can work against them, of course, as the game drifts on, but a good start by Brisbane, very positive. And I go back to that point of Kasey Wehrman, who's had a fabulous year, but the last couple of final series haven't been good ones for him. And I think it's essential for Brisbane's success today that Kasey does have a dominant role in midfield, and his start certainly promises to do just that. The other interesting thing in midfield of Gwynne coming forward to mark Marusic, and the problem in marking Marusic is such a skilled player is not to foul him, and because the constant fouls not only giving away free kicks, but you run the risk of getting not just a yellow but a second yellow and being off the field.
Troy Cranney just letting the ball run away from him there. Trajkovski in very quickly. Rob Trajkovski, such an important player for Sydney United, getting him forward down that right-hand side. Brisbane will be countering that with the likes of Cranney, who are trying to get the cross in here. The cross is blocked, and Bilokovic takes over. Trajkovski goes down the line. Drilic flicking on. Both sides still trying to settle down. And Aytek Genc just getting a touch there. What a surprise selection he was. He only really started training again this week after a layoff of several months. Danny Wright takes the throw. Craig Williams, you can see on the ball there, he also hurt his knee during the week. The white bandage on his right knee there, and all of a sudden Brisbane with Farina, who hadn't trained, and Knipe with the elbow problems, and Williams looking like the walking wounded for just a moment, but 2 out of those 3 have taken the park. Ante Moric comes short. The pitch looking a little bit bumpy through the centre there. Farina too far ahead for Sean Cranney. Genc. Here's Plesa. Milicic. Oh, straight to Gwynne. Troy Cranney. Through the centre, looking for his brother Sean. Tremendous moment this for the Cranney family. Ante Milicic has had such a sparkling season. It seems that everything's come together for Ante Milicic this season. Everything that he's been promising to put together for 3 or 4 years now. It's Kupresak. It's Moric. Plesa. Babic. Sydney United trying to get their rhythm early, get their natural passing style of game working, but Danny Wright got there first and clears the ball away. Brisbane have 5 players in their squad today who've played in a grand final. Farina, Hunter, Wright and Brown, who are in the starting 11, and Gary Phillips on the bench. It's an awful lot of experience between those players. Over 1,400 matches at this level between those 5 players, and Sydney United have just Kresimir Marusic, who won a championship medal 2 seasons ago with the Melbourne Knights. But they have got 5 internationals in their lineup, and that is a real sore point, of course, up here in Brisbane. Ironically, they could be the national champions without a national team player, as Marusic plays one in. On the volley from Babic. The ironic cheer that always comes with a shot that goes well over the crossbar from a defender. Clint Bolton, who has been in tremendous form after going through somewhat of a sticky patch during the season. His finals form has been first class. Brown can't get there. Kupresak. Farina straight in late on Kupresak. Very late indeed. Farina could be in trouble here. Kupresak's holding his shoulder. And Simon Micallef, will he take the hard line? Well, he just speaks to Farina. There's no card going out here. And the Strikers player coach a little lucky, perhaps. Fortunately, Kupresak is back up quickly. He's a tough customer, Velimir Kupresak. Had the game of his life last week against South Melbourne, knowing that this week would be his final game for his club. As Genc helps it on. As Drilic stole the ball well, but gave it away equally as quickly. Kupresak trying to let it run. Again, he's fouled. This time it's Brown. Brown stood on his hand as well. That was an accident. Take a look here. Kupresak in the wars. That's where Brown stood on him. Just slipping, the ball going back to Williams. Wright helps it on. Here's Wright again. Drilic lost down to Hunter, so determined. Drilic found his man as well. And a huge cheer there for the Strikers captain. Well, there's so much emotion behind this Strikers team today. Alan Hunter, the captain, playing his final game for the club before he moves to Melbourne to take over the captaincy at Carlton. Well, that's good play. Trajkovski, can he keep it in? Still Trajkovski, no foul there. Williams across quickly and was tidy with winning the ball but not distributing the ball.
One of the battles of the game, that Detroit Cranney, Trajkovski, and the reason to contain Trajkovski is just what we saw there. If he can start overlapping, Sydney United will start cooking a lot better than they are at the moment. I think they've taken a while to settle down, Sydney United. Paul, basically, their game is a very much a passing game, whether it's the surface or the pressure of Brisbane. They just haven't been able to get those number of passes together to dominate. And at this stage, you would give the point slightly towards Brisbane. They've settled quicker. They've probably been more incisive in what they're doing, and in the individual battles, probably on top.
News has just come through that the gates have been closed here at Suncorp. There are people outside who haven't been able to get tickets. It's a capacity crowd here at sensational Suncorp Stadium. Majority, of course, cheering for the side in yellow and blue as Marusic is surrounded by 3 players in yellow and blue, but still Sydney United, well, they looked like they were going to come away with the ball. Now Hews for the Strikers. Good ball in behind. Sean Cranney's running onto that, and Kalac, who plays most of the game on the edge of the penalty area. That's twice that Kalac has been called into action to find something. He was out quickly there. Sean Cranney, the speedster for the Strikers, just couldn't get onto the pass there from Hews, and what a start Chay Hews has had.
Probably the dominant player out of the middle of the park for Sydney United. Marusic as yet unable to get a hold of the ball and do much, but Hews, the dominant player out of midfield.
Kresimir Marusic will have to get through the game knowing that Gwynne will never be more than a metre or 2 away from him. It's the tightest of man-to-man marking jobs today on Kresimir Marusic. We really haven't seen anyone this season. It's Cranney's offside. We haven't seen anyone really manage to stop Marusic when he's in the mood. So it's a lot of responsibility on Gwynne. Plesa. Waiting for some kind of movement. In the end it comes, but there's Gwynne in front of Marusic. There's Kupresak. Marusic couldn't get there, and Gwynne could, but he just holds his hamstring there and grimaces in some pain. You just wonder, there's Gwynne again, looks to be struggling. Watch that one fairly closely. Well, of all players that you wouldn't want to be tracking if you're struggling with an injury is Kresimir Marusic. He covers more ground than anyone in Australian football during 90 minutes. Here he is, Gwynne, the shadow. Marusic waiting. Forced back an awfully long way, all the way in fact to Plesa. Drilic. Wright across quickly. Drilic got away from Danny Wright. Still David Drilic, the top marksman in the country, working his way into the penalty area, clambering over bodies to get to the ball. He's still got the ball.
but he fouled his man. Danny Wright it is who's just rubbing his knee. There were 2 or 3 players again on David Drillage very quickly. He hacked at the ball and got Wright instead. It's a good decision from Simon Micallef. Hunter under pressure early, decides to go long. Wehrman underneath it. Ante Moric won it in the air. Here's Moric again. Babic. Still Sydney United struggling to find their rhythm. Certainly the feeling from the players before the game on the pitch was that the bumpiness of it or the unevenness of it wouldn't be a major problem for him, though we have seen on a couple of occasions already the ball bobbling, if you like, as a player tries to control it. Milicic not really expecting the throw there. Farina. Cranney goes back. Wright goes long. Brown's underneath it. Flicks it on. Back. Oh, that was so risky. Troy Cranney waiting there. Plesa didn't know he was there. Kalac nonchalant through it all. Sean Cranney. Wehrman. Well, he's so composed on the ball, prepared to bring it down with 2 or 3 men around him there. Kasey Wehrman, fine play from him. Here's Farina. Farina again, playing it in. Awkward. Kupresak went in front of his goalkeeper there. Kalac let him know about it as well. But he wanted to make absolutely sure, and he did that in a sense. Corner to the Strikers. Hews across to take it. Hunter goes to the near post. Gwynne coming late at the back post. Hunter's there. Kalac is there. Oh, risky throw there from Kalac. And Ante Milicic hasn't been in the game much in the opening 17 minutes that we've had here at Suncorp as the ball is played in. Genc underneath it, just helps it on.
Yeah, I think the problem for Sydney United is if Trajkovski and Marusic are not seeing a lot of the ball, that it cuts Zdrilic and Milicic out of the game. And at this stage, Brisbane, tactically, one feels on top in that area, although that question mark over Gwynne, who is still limping behind play. And if that is an injury, of course, that is going to free Marusic up and may force Brisbane into an early change.
Pitch heading on. Hews. Oh, what a game he's had already. Helping it on there to Brown. Wehrman, who we know can shoot from long range. This time he brings Troy Cranney into the game, who swaps sides, and Genc got the better of him there. Genc lost out to Wehrman. Now Marusic with some room. For the first time of the game, Gwynne's nowhere near him. Milicic back to Marusic. A man free on the right-hand side. This is much better from United. A shot comes in there. Bolton bouncing awkwardly in front of him.
Better from Sydney United. And one of the first good service that Marusic has received. And of course, once he does gain possession, the game opens. And Sydney United look a much different side.
Ante Moric cutting in onto his left foot, his more favoured side. Really was only a little awkward for Bolton because the ball bounced in front of him, but Marusic getting more and more involved now.
Milicic losing out. Williams, good pass to Alan Hunter. Forward for Cranney. Just didn't find his feet, and Sydney United, who are coming more and more into the game. That's a nice ball from Milicic. Trajkovski, still Trajkovski. Good play from him. Took the shot on his own. I think he changed his mind there, Rob Trajkovski. 1 minute he was going to take a shot, and the next minute it was a through ball.
But again, illustrating that point, Paul, that if he, Trajkovski and Marusic getting possession, Sydney United an entirely different team. I note that the Crannies have changed flanks. Troy now over on the right side here, which has given a little bit more freedom to Trajkovski, and also Gwynne's injury, he's not as tight on Marusic as he was in the earlier minutes, so that is a big headache for Brisbane. Just how serious that injury is to Gwynne probably won't be revealed till half time. But if Marusic getting more and more of the ball, that is an ominous sign for Brisbane.
Milicic, good pass. Milicic, 2 men spare down the right-hand side. One of them is Milicic. Good ball across, and Wright got there. And slowly Sydney United start to find their feet. And some defending here for Sean Cranney. Craig Williams helps him out. But the way they worked the space down their flanks there, and they got in a good cross for the first time in the game. And here they come again, looking for another. Ante Moric. Cutting back onto the left foot, goes far post. Zdrilic is there, too big for David Zdrilic. He'll wait for support. Clint Bolton, the former Olympian. He didn't go to Atlanta. He's a former young Socceroo as well. The possibility is that Brisbane may have to make a change. Their substitutes is stretching up. We see Hunter come forward for the Strikers. Kupresak got there first. Trajkovski, if he can get past Cranney here, which he's done. There's danger here for the Strikers. The ball through to Milicic was just a little bit rushed from Rob Trajkovski. There is. It was Jeremy Harris who was warming up there for the Brisbane Strikers. He does play in that central midfield role, and he could be the man to come on for Gwynne if the injury doesn't clear up. Genc got there. Straight to Sean Cranney. Oh, great ball too. Troy Cranney through the centre. Good pass intention there for Rod Brown. And the two Cranney brothers, with that understanding they have, opened up Sydney United there. Milicic lost out straight away to Hunter, who's well on top in that particular battle. Sean Cranney wriggling away from a couple. Here's Wehrman. Farina's free down the right-hand side as Gwynne goes forward. Frank Farina into the penalty area. Played across. Kupresak got there before Brown. Marusic will keep the ball in. The game opening up all of a sudden. Long ball for Milicic, who just peeled away from Alan Hunter. And look at this, Ante Moric free all on his own through the centre there. Here is Moric, but the pass was not a good one from Ante Milicic. Great ball from Wehrman. Hews. Wehrman picks up a loose one. Here's Brown. Back to Wehrman, who's like a conductor in the centre of this Brisbane Strikers midfield. Hews is down on his knees, or he was for a moment ago there, and Wehrman was also just looking a little tired. Hews is still down on his haunches. Wright and Gwynne tried to get things going for the Strikers. The last 5 minutes or so have been Sydney United's, really. Wright. Brown flicks on, great ball across, loose ball. Trajkovski, well, he had to put his foot up to get the ball away from Troy Cranney. That was a risk in itself, but he got away with it. Corner to the Strikers. Ante and Wright both go to the near post. Plenty of red shirts though there as well, as Hews takes it. Kalac stays and then decides to come, and the ball is gone out. It's a goal kick.
Come on, Dad!
Milicic, another pass that didn't find its man from him. Tried to find Brown. He's underneath, unchallenged. Moric picks it up. Wehrman gets the ball for Brisbane. It's a very, very even game so far. Brown is offside. John, this double act for Sydney United in Ante Milicic and David Zdrilic, they really have both been kept very quiet so far.
And neither in good touch. I'm not making excuses for all the players, but I think the game's suffering. There's not enough passing sequences, not enough time in possession to build up, and you have to point to the ground. More so, I believe it's affecting Sydney United than Brisbane, who are perhaps a little bit more used to it, but it goes without saying Milicic and Zdrilic not in the game, and until they are, Sydney United are going to be up against it. Genc too coming back, which is not unexpected, coming back from a long injury, a little bit rusty, not in the touch that they at Sydney United need him to be in. But Brisbane just look to be a little bit better at this stage.
Hunter again getting the better of Ante Milicic. Well, Sydney United this season have scored on every ground in the Ericsson Cup except Suncorp Stadium. This is their third visit up here and they're still looking for their first goal. You won't thank me for producing little bits of information like that, I'm sure, but it is an unusual stat when you consider that the side has managed 70 goals in their 29 games so far this season, but they haven't managed one here in 2.5 matches almost. Milicic trying to change the record books, fouled. Dangerous too for Brisbane. Genc keen to get on with it quickly, but Marusic is likely to be the man to sling over the cross. The big men at the back post for Sydney United work their way up. Babic, Kupresak, Milicic, the sun in the eyes of the players. Marusic chips it in. Bolton comes out, gathers superbly. Clint Bolton under real pressure as well. And a good throw too to Chay Hews, all on his own, going down the left, as we see again the grab from Bolton. Calmly to Craig Williams. The good ball from him to Wehrman. Oh, foul there, clearly. Push in the back by Babic on Farina. Probably just a little bit too far out for Brisbane to try their luck without Nick Meredith in the side, that is. He's the sort of player who would fancy his chances from there. But that's around 35 metres out. Hunter is over the ball. Brisbane not even setting up a wall. That's quite surprising. Sydney United rather, no wall. Kalac's just saying that he wants a clear look at the ball as the shot comes in. Straight into the head of Plesa, who just shakes it.
And not a bad way to do it, is it? No wall. I mean, you don't block the view of the keeper. It's quite courageous in a sense. Kalac's just saying one-on-one from that distance, have a go at me. But the beauty of getting rid of the wall is that it doesn't obscure half the goal for you from Kalac's end.
Yeah, there's no surprises, is there? You can see the full ball or the full distance. Kalac, that's a real measure of his confidence, isn't it? He'll take anyone on from that distance. Marusic underhit the pass. Plesa in at the back today. Well, he played last week, of course, against South Melbourne, but he played as a marker because Robbie Ennish was the sweeper. Ennish is suspended, of course, and there's a rejig of the defence from Branko Culina. Mark Babic, the captain, back in the side, on the ball now. Waiting for some movement. Here it comes. Ante Moric, who's been very lively in this opening half hour. Babic waiting for something. Here it comes. Genc. Babic forced to take on his man. Genc, good ball inside. Moric, Genc through again. Here's Bilokovic. Still Bilokovic. Out wide is Marusic. Very good defence from Brisbane. Marusic's cross is cut out. Kupresak. Strikers struggling to get foot on ball at the moment with this little spell. Oh, great ball from Milicic inside. Genc, chance now to run at his man. Still Genc.
But a better period, Paul. That was our point earlier, saying Sydney United really a passing team, that once they get those sequences together, they can probe, keep possession, dictate play, and this is a better period for them.
Genc trying to line up the cross. The header from Drilic. We always had a lot of work to do with that one, moving away from the goal. David Drilic with 21 goals this season, but he hasn't scored in the last 6 games. Which is an unusual streak for the top goal scorer in the country. Certainly some high optimism for the match itself. 2 of the highest scorers in the country up against each other. Brisbane managed 57 goals so far this season. Sydney United, as I mentioned earlier, on 70. Foul on Trajkovski. Good decision too from Simon Micallef. Again, Bilokovic, Kupresak work their way forward. Bolton comes. Again, he looks solid. Well, he really has had a good final series, Clint Bolton.
Well, the importance of those takes too, not just the actual save itself, but it just generates a whole range of confidence through the defence once you see your keeper coming so positively, clean take, and is very reassuring.
Drilic now. Players onto him. Steals Drilic. Got away from both of them. Great play from David Drilic. Pulled it back. No one on the edge of the penalty area for Sydney United. Wehrman just gets Cranney to leave it alone. It's a long ball and a tremendous ball that. So close to reaching Troy Cranney. Now Trajkovski down the right-hand side. Marusic helping it on. Trajkovski, Milicic there on the turn. Well, an instinctive try from Ante Milicic. Perhaps you sense just a little bit of frustration for Ante Milicic. He hasn't started the game as well as he would have liked. But it was there to be hit. He timed it nicely, but didn't control it nicely.
Reinforcing the view there, Paul, too, that Trajkovski and Marusic, once they're involved, Sydney United is a completely different team. It will be interesting at half-time to see if there is a change with Gwynne, who still is limping a bit, but it is noticeable that since his injury, Marusic getting more and more freedom, and that could spell danger for Brisbane.
We're at the 35-minute mark here. Suncorp, if you've just joined us, it's still 0-0. Plesa. To Kalac. For some movement from someone. Free kick by Genc on Glen Gwynne. And there's 3 players in the Sydney United side who have been nominated for the Players Player of the Year awards, which will be held next week in Sydney. Surprisingly, David Zeljko, Kresimir, Marusic and Ante Milicic are the trio. There's Velimir handballs there. Intentional handball as well. Simon Micallef tells him to get to his feet. He just lets it go. Velimir felt that he was being hassled and fouled there by Chay Hews. I'm not sure he didn't have a case as well, poor Velimir. Zeljko chasing, does well. Good athlete, David Zeljko. Too quick there for Danny Wright. But Wright recovered. Ball goes back to Bolton. And Brisbane made a very awkward situation there. Looked fairly easy to get out of as Sean Cranney goes back to Williams. There's space on the left-hand side here for Gwynne. Hews. I just showed too much of the ball there for Marusic, but Hunter hasn't put a foot wrong in this his final game for the Strikers. Troy Cranney. Hews. Sean Cranney lets it run. Farina. Sean Cranney going through. He couldn't take the ball with him. It would have been a great opening if he could have. And this perhaps is a great opening for Sydney United with Milicic taking on his man. Goes past Hunter. It's Zeljko helping him still. Milicic all his own. The shots. Great try that from Milicic. Best moment of the game for Sydney United. Talk about coming back to your old self at an instant. He went past Hunter with ease. He took Williams away and it just missed that far post by about half a metre.
And the best moment of the game for Ante Milicic. The type of thing that he's quite capable of doing, that mazy runs, the dribbling, taking on defenders. And the first time we've seen that in the match. And a good sign for Sydney United. Plesa doing well at the back too. I mean, that's been a really pleasing aspect for Sydney United. Very cool, very calm, doing his job very efficiently without any fuss.
Farina, Brown turning away, takes the shot. Kalac, and he's always looking to get on with the game very quickly, Zeljko Kalac, but there's one point that Frank Farina made during the week. He felt that most of Sydney United's best counter-attacks came from the goalkeeper, so it's something that they have tried to watch for in particular, marking up very quickly when Kalac gets the ball. Moric also gets the ball behind the man. Still Ante Moric, Marusic there in space. He's bypassed. Zeljko flicks it on. To anyone in particular though. And Wehrman comes away with the ball, helping it on to Sean Cranney, galloping down the right-hand side. It's a good cross in here. Brown can't get there. Kupresak did. Kalac decided to stay on his line. Gwynne with the shot. Well, Sydney United have got Trajkovski down the right, as we've talked about, but we forget sometimes the pace of Sean Cranney down the right-hand side for the Strikers. Minutes to go until half-time. The match has opened up more and more as the half has gone on. Mark Battiston and Nick Meredith are two long-term injuries for Brisbane Strikers. They didn't come into contention today, and also Wayne Knight missed out at the last minute. The victims of, it's been a long season. Babic under pressure from Cranney. He miskicked totally. Cranney looking to get on with the game quickly. Hunter joining him quickly as well. Farina turning. Hunter going on, played it across. Plesa's there and he clears quickly. And Hunter is covering ground like some of the youngsters in the side. Zeljko bouncing, got the better of the bounce too with Wright. Oh, that was foot up there from David Zeljko. And one in the face for Glen Gwynne. And it's handshakes there from Zeljko and Gwynne. And a yellow card, and rightly so for David Zeljko. Just studs right across the earlobe. Zeljko, one of just two players who have played in every single game for Sydney United this season, and it's his striking mate Ante Milicic the other. As we take another look. Babic, his clearance, charge down, Genc helps it on. Milicic, Marusic trying to bring it down. Gwynne has played such a good role so far on Kresimir Marusic, negating all of the positive things that the Sydney United midfielder tries to come up with, all his tricks, all his little shuffles that he's got. Farina. Here's Troy Cranney. Milicic in space. Plenty forward here for Sydney United. All of a sudden it's 4 forward against 3 defenders as Brisbane try to recover, and they do with Hunter. Captain's role for sure today from Alan Hunter. Scored in a grand final back in 1988, Alan Hunter, playing for Sydney United, ironically. Farina. Wehrman through the centre. Good ball from Wehrman to Brown. Flags up. Well, that must have been close. Frank Farina made his feelings fairly clear to the linesman on the near side. Moving to the last minute of the first half.
Yeah, and a half which hasn't really lived up, Paul, to pre-match expectations. I think both defences on top, and I think both teams are having trouble with the ground. It's interfering with the quality of the passing, and hence the flowing football that both of these teams are capable of hasn't come to pass. But as the game goes on in the second half, it will free up. There will be more space. There will be the ability for room like we have here now, where players have more room and more space to create.
Throw into the Strikers as we move into time added on. Genc got there before giving away a corner. Well, that's interesting. Genc poked it through the legs of Sean Cranney. He felt he was obstructed. He pulled Cranney back, but he got the decision. It's half-time here at Suncorp, and the game opened with a hiss and a roar when Chay Hews tested Kalac, probably for the best save and shot of the game. And then the match tightened up considerably. It started to open up as the half has gone on, but certainly neither side could go in at half-time feeling that they were well on top in the game. The tension of the occasion is there for both sides, but the crowd has enjoyed itself in this first 45 minutes here. Some of the little personal battles. Gwynne has kept Kresimir Marusic very quiet indeed. And the follow-on from that is the fact that Milicic and Zeljko too haven't been in the game as much as they would have liked. Culina, he's a master tactician. What can he come up with in the break? Frank Farina too will have to look hard at his side and check also on the fitness of Gwynne, who was limping for a large part of that first half. But at half-time here at Suncorp, it's the Brisbane Strikers 0, Sydney United 0. We'll take a short break and be back with more action shortly.
Welcome back to Brisbane. Welcome back to the 1997 Ericsson Cup Grand Final. In front of a packed house, it's half-time here as the entertainment continues, and it's 0-0 at the break here. And it's a beautiful day. The football, Andy Harper, has not been, as Johnny Warren said, what we may have expected. The pressure obviously played a big part in that, as did the quality of the surface.
Yeah, I think on that basis, it's a defender's game today. I mean, the poor midfielders and the players up front are not getting, they can't read where the ball's going to bounce, and consequently their first touch is leaving a little bit to be desired, and it makes it very much easier for the defenders to cope with him in that instance.
The defenders were doing very well, among them Gwynne, who was marking Marusic, but we did see a twinge in his hamstring, and at that point, interestingly, Sydney United started to get more and more into the game.
Interesting, because it still didn't involve Marusic quite, so it's true they did come into the game more, but it wasn't necessarily because of Marusic, and Gwynne is obviously playing wounded. It's something that the Strikers will have to deal with at half-time, and they'll get him on the table and see try to ascertain the extent of the injury and make an adjustment accordingly if one's required. But
what are their options? Brayshaw was warming up at that time.
Yeah, probably Andrew Brayshaw would just do a direct swap, I would think, because he's an aggressive type player, very similar to Nick Meredith in a lot of ways, and to Gwynne himself. So if they were looking for a straight swap, then that's something that certainly Frank Farina could look at.
Okay, let's have a look at some of the highlights from the first half, and it's been the first strike on goal came very, very early for Brisbane, and this was from Chay Hews.
Yeah, and Zeljko Kalac stamped his authority on the game. What a wonderful start that would have been, and great for the young lad's confidence. Even there you can see the ball bobbling around. He's hit it very sweetly, and that did look like it was going in, and the crowd really couldn't believe it.
It's not often you see Zeljko Kalac needing to stretch that far. Here's Marusic coming into the game.
Again, the feature of this package, I suppose, is the way the ball's bobbling along. And we can see also one other feature of the first half for mine, as Moric swung that ball to the far post, was that the Sydney United players looked a little bit more prepared to have a go at their opponents, to dribble at them, to face them with the ball at their feet and run at them. A couple of times the Brisbane players, particularly the wide players, had a similar opportunity, and they didn't seem as prepared to take up the challenge and run at their defenders.
It's more of a natural game for United, isn't it, to have a go?
Yeah.
But still, you know, they had real problems. Once they got into that penalty box, they had real problems.
Yeah, they did. Clint Bolton's done well. He's taken a couple of crucial crosses quite clean. It'll be great for his confidence. And I think the reason primarily why the game hasn't been that open is because Brisbane, for mine, haven't been committing too many players forward. Sydney United can build up patiently, but they're usually more potent when, like I said before the game, Big Spider catches the ball off a cross or a corner and releases the breaking players. And Brisbane have been very careful not to commit too many players forward so as not to get caught on the break. Hopefully in the second half the game will open up a little bit. Brisbane will start to, when they get the ball at feet, to dribble at the United opponents when they've got the space to do so and open the game up a bit.
This is Ante Milicic going on one of his merry runs, but here too you can see how the surface affected the timing of the shot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, this is one example. That's for Rod Brown to do anything with that cross is very difficult. And there was a lot of space for Sean Cranney to run at the defender there to attempt to get to the byline, because there was only Mark Babic in his way, and I'm sure he's got the pace, certainly the skill to get past him, whipping a more dangerous cross than he was able to on that instance.
No, that's because of the pressure that his Zeljko with that incident, I'm sure he didn't mean it quite like that. He was obviously going for the ball, but very dangerous incident. But going back to what you were saying about having a go at players, for Brisbane, I think they are, well, it appears to me that they are showing a little bit too much respect for Sydney United's technical gift, shall we say, and they need to come out of that shell in the second half.
Well, I would suggest, without trying to presume too much, that will be the plan as the game goes on, to open up a little bit more. Can you show Sydney United too much respect? I suppose that's the question. They scored 67 goals during the season, broke records. Milicic and Zeljko scored squillions between them. Marusic proved his class over the 26 home and away games and the final series as well. So to be a bit cautious, to err on the side of caution, is probably not a bad thing from Frank's point of view. For Brisbane to win the game from here without relying on a United mistake, they're going to have to start taking the challenge up to Sydney United, which is well within them. Both the Cranney boys are excellent players. If they can get some quality early service with themselves facing their defenders and get in a nasty cross, Rod Brown is proven he scored over 100 goals in the National League, as has Frank, and I'm sure they'll do the job once the quality service gets in there.
What about Sydney United? Because they are confident that they are the better team. They are technically the better side. But if the goal doesn't come, they're going to get more and more frustrated.
Yeah, that's a fair point. They will get frustrated. They've got Ante Moric, interestingly, playing in central midfield, and Aytek Genc playing on the wide position. Not quite sure why that is, and there's an option that Branko may explore as well, swapping them. Ante Moric has been quite effective, I think, in the middle. His distribution's been quite good, and his contribution so far has been quite good. But I'm sure Zeljko and Milicic, especially Milicic, he seems to have big Alan Hunter right behind him the whole way. He'd appreciate some early ball where he can, again, dribble it at Big Alan and see if he can put him on his backside and then cause some damage.
All right, Andy, thank you. Well, it's all wide open at the Suncorp Stadium here. Let's go now to Mike Tollenaere, who's hovering around the dressing rooms.
Yes, Les, I have been hovering around the dressing rooms. I did sit right behind Branko Culina during that first half, and after speaking to a few of the coaching staff here, it seems that Branko wants his players to use the flanks a lot more. He feels by getting the ball out wide, it'll do a lot more to try and perhaps put the Brisbane Strikers' defence into error. Some other things to come out of it. Branko was also concerned at the silly mistakes that are creeping into the game. These mistakes are obviously allowing Brisbane a lot more possession, but basically what Branko is saying is players to just tighten up, don't panic. It's 0-0, and Sydney United have been in situations like this before where things haven't exactly gone their way, but in the second half they have finished out on top, and Bronco is hoping that'll happen during the next 45 minutes. Not too sure about Gwynne, but he looked all right as the players did come off. But that's how it stands here at the moment, Les. The score is 0-0, but let's take a break now and we'll be back.
The full splendour of a packed house at Suncorp Stadium welcomes you back to the Ericsson Cup Grand Final 1997. The two teams are out and in readiness for the second half. It's 0-0. Let's go back to Paul Williams and Johnny Warren.
Well, there's no change to the starting 11s of both sides. Gary Phillips was stripped and warming up fairly hard at half-time, but there's no sign that he's coming on, at least immediately. Glen Gwynne is back on the park. He was the only player who there was some kind of injury cloud over. That's why we're all here today. The superb Ericsson Cup. As Marusic gets us underway in the second half here. The Brisbane Strikers' record at Suncorp this season hasn't been as good as you would have imagined. They've been beaten 4 times here in the normal season. They did go through a very bad patch in the middle there, and they lost a couple of home games when they really couldn't do a thing right. But all in all, surprisingly, the Strikers have lost 9 games this season. As Belokovic tries a shot and Bolton goes down quickly to gather it, as Drilic was just loitering there, hoping for something. But as I was saying, the Strikers have lost 9 games this season, which is quite amazing for a side who finished second in the ladder. When you compare that to the Collingwood Warriors, they finished second from bottom and they only lost 11 games. So a bit of a mixed season at times from the Brisbane Strikers, and certainly their form at home hasn't been as emphatic as you would have expected. They're hoping to change that today as Gwynne comes away for the Strikers. Wehrman leaves it. Good ball forward for Danny Wright. Here's Brown. Brown too has his own personal agenda. Here he's got 130 NSL goals in his career as the ball comes in. Kalac was challenged. Play on according to Simon Micallef. Well, now what did Kalac do after the ball there?
Well, it's a penalty really, because Kalac, even if he was well challenged by Farina, and after the ball's dropped, I believe he's pushed him.
Well, this is interesting. Farina went in there. Kalac went down. There were words spoken between the two afterwards. Meanwhile, play goes on. Oh, great turn from Brown. Kupresak on the mark there, and he had to be. Loose ball, chance here, and it's a goal! Farina has opened the scoring for the Strikers. He started the second half on fire when he clattered into Kalac just a few moments ago. Kalac and he exchanged some words, but within 60 seconds, Farina has hit back in the most emphatic of manners. He's beaten Kalac, and the ball was nestled in the back of the Sydney United net. It was a ball that wasn't cleared convincingly by the defence. Farina's reactions there were superb. And that's 1-0 to the Strikers. Well, that is a great goal by any measure. And Cranney goes down now, and the game has come to life with Farina's goal coming in the 3rd minute of the second half. of football is full of fairy tales. But a winning goal for Frank Farina in the grand final here at Brisbane would just about take the cake. Kalac watchful as the cross comes in from Hews. Well, the complexion of the game has changed considerably. No foul. Sydney United throw. Ante Moric will take it. No reaction from the Sydney United bench as yet. Kupresak. Genc couldn't get there. Moric now. Wehrman, delightful turn. Brown turning away as well. Hews forward. Cranney will get there. Well, so close, even a speedster like he couldn't get there. Moric wants to get on with the game quickly. Culina, who's just finished addressing his players with the tactics for the second half, may have to have a bit of a rethink. Marusic awfully deep. Kupresak. Wins, prepared to bring it down on his chest. High ball through the centre. Marusic fouled. Brayshaw. Bell on the bench there. Zeljko can't get there. Here's Troy Cranney, forced to go back. No chances, as you would expect, will be taken in the Brisbane defence now. And that's a handball, surely. From Brown, it is. And rightly so, it's a yellow card. Take another look here. It was very quick hands from Rod Brown. And Kupresak and Kalac went up immediately with the arms. Genc forward. Still Genc. Good ball across. Marusic just took too long. He wanted way too long, in fact. Now, Cranney through down the right-hand side. Plenty of strikers, players forward. Here's Chay Hews. Good chance for Brisbane there that went begging. There were yellow shirts streaming down the ground. Great ball from Cranney to find Hews in space at the back post. Hunter at the near post. So was Babic. Hews and Milicic chasing.
We're sitting here at half-time, Paul, saying the game needs a goal, and little did we expect it to come so quickly. And of course it has changed now, the whole complexion. It needed a goal to break what was a deadlock of defences on top, very little happening out of midfield. And it now becomes a very, very serious period now for Sydney United. They're really up against the Brisbane Fire. A great goal from Farina, really professional goal, the determination, the ability to score from such an opportunity which wasn't just such a great chance for him. Significant that the ball came from Hews, who has probably been one of the players on the park at this stage.
Farina. Cranney. Back to Wright. Whips in the cross. Brown's waiting. Couldn't get there because Plesa beat him. Here's Gwynne. Zeljko tracking back. Cranney trying to just knock it past the defender and go, and Milicic was anticipating exactly that. Genc will get there for Sydney United. And that will be a Brisbane Strikers free kick. Good decision too from Simon Micallef. Genc. Nice switch of play there to find Babic in space on the right-hand side. Here's Trajkovski. An early ball play from Trajkovski. Too hurried, too rushed. Brisbane have rattled Sydney United here with that goal from Farina. And many people have said, without a doubt, that Sydney United are the outstanding side in the country at the moment. Well, their character is well and truly being tested here. They're a goal down in the grand final. It doesn't get any bigger than this. We've had 9 minutes of the second half gone. Taken quickly. Milicic will get there. Pulled it back. Williams perfectly placed. Here's Moric. Milicic. So sharp in the tackle, Hunter. Trajkovski, that's gone out. Well, there has been somewhat of a war of words between these two sides in the build-up to the game. Kresimir Marusic has been in the thick of things from a Sydney United perspective, and Farina is never one to back away from a confrontation, as we saw earlier with Kalac. Cranney inside to Wright. Good ball. Gwynne got away from Marusic. Now, this is really turning the tables. Cranney through the centre. Kupresak across. And Glen Gwynne got away down the right-hand side there. Kalac's keen to speak to his defenders to get them back on their toes again after that mistake which let Farina in. Wright will take the long throw. Wehrman's gone short. There's only Brown in the centre. He's a long way away from the ball though. Now he comes short. Brown got there. Good touch. Farina! My word, that was close. Well, Brown and Farina have been playing together for years and years, and you can see the understanding there. The faintest of touches, Farina was waiting for just that. I think in the end it missed by a couple of metres, but it's the sort of opportunity that an extra touch on the ball could have seen it gone past Kalac. Now, Kupresak is down. Trainer is on. His final game for his club, Velimir Kupresak. That would be a real shame to see him end his career having to go off in the grand final. He's as tough as they come. And Sydney United, a man down for the moment. Milicic. Ante. Lovely touch inside for Hews, who has caused real problems for Sydney United. The youngster, surprise selection, but has he ever justified his selection? Here he is again, calling the shots. Babic out of the back. Milicic in space down the right-hand side. Just keeps it in. And Craig Williams, this experienced defender, timing the tackle there to perfection. Trajkovski. Marusic fouled. Now, what can Sydney United do here? Very, very risky proposition that, to give away a free kick in and around the penalty area, with Marusic over the ball, Moric over the ball as well. Ante forward for Sydney United. Marusic over the ball. Bolton stays. The defence clears the ball away. Not thoroughly though. Here's Ante Moric. Bilokovic. Towing it on to Babic wide on the left. Bolton comes off his line and he takes it with ease. He's handled everything in the air with consummate professionalism today, Clint Bolton. As Babic hit it well to the back post. Milicic came flying in, but he couldn't get there. Culina, one of the most thoughtful coaches in the country, heading off on Tuesday to Malaysia with the Australian World Youth Cup squad as assistant coach to Les Scheinflug. It's a real feather in his cap. He's been honoured for the work that he's done this season with Sydney United. Now it's Djilic turning into trouble, really. Velimir. One in the tackle, one back by Genc. Great play, Aytek Genc clips it in. Djilic can't get there. Hunter can. Clears only as far as Paul Velimir. And Velimir, who hasn't found the back of the net this season for Sydney United. He's the only outfield player with that particular statistic. Got there, couldn't help it on to Ante Milicic, and they're the best double act in Australian football without a doubt, but they haven't fired today.
You've got to give credit there. Hunter has been outstanding at the back. Danny Wright as well. They just haven't given them any room to move. And while that continues, of course, Sydney United are going to struggle.
Half an hour to go here at Suncorp. This record crowd has seen so far what they came to see, and that is the Strikers finding the back of the net. Sean Cranney will keep this in, and then all of a sudden it's 3 against 3. Brown going to the back post. Here is Brown. Babic, to his credit, read the situation well. Good cross from Sean Cranney. Now Marusic comes away for Sydney United. Genc, first time pass. Ante Moric waiting for someone to help him out. Comes from Velimir. Hunter again. Well, that was brilliant. He really has won the battle today with Ante Milicic. As Farina goes in search of number 2. The ball's not cleared away thoroughly. Sean Cranney will pick it up. Hews back to Cranney. Wehrman, who's so prepared to get the ball, even though there's a red shirt not too far away from him. Again, Trajkovski getting there. Well recovered by Gwynne too, who really has worked so hard. It's Djilic, Marusic. Joining in is Babic down the right-hand side. Trajkovski's moved out of the space. Good ball in from Babic to the back post. Djilic wins it in the air. Chance here, Genc! What a try! He caught it absolutely superbly, Aytek Genc. And the first real mistake out of the Strikers' defence. Williams headed it straight to him. 1.5 metres away in the end. And Jason Culina is going into the history books now as the youngest ever player to take the part in a grand final. He's come on as a substitute for Rob Trajkovski. His 17th birthday is in August of this year, Jason Culina. A marvellous moment for a fine young player. That's a great start from him. What a good pass that was to Moric wide on the right-hand side.
A very interesting change at Branko Culina. A real gamble here. They move Plesa to right fullback in Trajkovski's position. They're going to play man for man at the back. And Culina coming into midfield, Jason that is. So it gives a little bit more power, but it does run the risk that you're playing man for man at the back. That is a real gamble. It's good timing to make it. Branko realising that Sydney United really need a little bit more happening out of midfield if they're to get Village and Milicic into the game.
26 minutes to go here. So Sydney United need something. Williams away. Culina again involved a couple of times early. Here he is for the third time. Wehrman's chasing him. 2 weeks ago, Jason Culina became the youngest ever player to score in a finals match, but not the youngest to play in a finals match. John Markowski has that particular honour. The year that Markowski was playing in the finals, his side didn't make the final, or the grand final rather. So it's an honour all by himself for Jason Culina as Velimir and Farina chest to chest. Tensions running high, understandably, particularly for the younger Sydney United players. Farina is taking it all in his stride, I'm sure. Let's take another look at just what happened. Babic put Farina to the ground. Velimir followed through, or followed in rather. Officials, just a little bit of concern, in fact more than a bit of concern on their faces. Troy Cranney, here's Brown. Wehrman, look at the space, doesn't mind a shot from long range, Kasey Wehrman, but Velimir closed him down. Troy Cranney. There's Sean Cranney. Babic away, only as far as Wehrman. Still Wehrman, great run from him. Across, no one there for Brisbane. How did he get that one across the goal? Well, that could have been the end of the road for Sydney United. Wehrman was so patient with the cross. He had players diving in all over the place. He whipped it in the end. There was no one there for the Strikers at the far post. Goes back to Kalac. Long ball. Velimir picks up the loose ball. Still Velimir. Kupresak joining in from the back. Milicic blocked. It's just a wall of yellow shirts. Still Milicic going through, but too many to beat there, really. Brown. Now, this is interesting for Brisbane. Sean Cranney galloping down the right-hand side. His brother Troy's in the centre, as is Brown. Here's Rob Brown. A second! It is!
story, and there are over 40,000 people in at Suncorp today. I've just had that confirmed, and they've gone berserk because Rod Brown, his 131st goal in the NSL. There's never been a bigger one than that one.
And always a danger ball for Sydney United. Once they made that change to play man-to-man at the back, the problem was that you're going to get caught out. But this is a great counter-attack. The delivery to Sean Cranney, the quality of the ball in, and the finish from Brown. That's the risk Sydney United ran. They've lost it, and difficult to see Sydney United coming back from here.
Well, Sean Cranney is one of the fastest players in a pair of football boots in the country. Well, chance here. Well, just for a moment, it looked as though Milicic was on the volley there, as we just had to come away from the replay for a moment. But now, Sydney United, is there a way back for them? You're a brave man if you're prepared to back that particular situation. Brisbane 2 goals ahead. And this massive crowd as we take another look at the finish from Brown. The largest ever crowd for an All-Australian soccer match. Previous record was 40,165 in 1963, the Sydney Grand Final, when South Coast beat Apia 4-0. Previous record in a Grand Final was 26,352 at Parramatta in 1990, when Olympic beat Marconi 2-0. Wright is down. It'll take more than a wrap across the shins to get Danny Wright off the park, I would think. Well, John, I was just about to ask you before the goal went in how you thought the reshuffled Sydney United side was looking, but
bit late for that.
Yeah, it's just a little bit late, I think.
Well, it was a gamble, a calculated gamble. You know, it's the coffin nailer, that they say, for the coach to make the change. It was to take Trajkovski off, which is a big risk in itself, reorganise your defence, play man-to-man at the back. They had to commit more out of midfield because not enough happening for Strelic and Milicic. It was a gamble, and as events have turned out, well, we hope we're not speaking too early, but it worked against them. They were caught beautifully on the counter-attack, and what an effective one it was. Just crisp delivery. Excellent cross from Cranney and Rod Brown, putting it away beautifully. That's the way the game goes, as they say. I think you applaud coaches for making a drastic move. But sadly for Sydney United, it looks like it may not come off. But still time to come back. But indications are that so far not enough has been happening for them out of midfield or up front to really threaten Brisbane. Hunter again. Hunter absolutely brilliant today. His last game for Brisbane. He's intercepted everything. His tackling's been clean and fair. He's just been the real leader at the back. Stunning stuff.
Well, Brisbane in search of a third, perhaps. With this counter-attacking nature of the game now, they can sit back and soak up a bit of whatever Sydney United have to throw at them. And then Sean Cranney and his brother Troy on the other flank, they've got some real speed to get down the other end quickly, and that's a foul by Farina on his opposite number, Kresimir Marusic. Farina in very hard there. Marusic just bounces up and gets on with the game. There's been no love lost between the two, it has to be said, in the build-up to the game. Marusic takes the free kick. It's cleared away by the defence. Culina in space down the right-hand side. Can he provide something here? Near post cross. Williams cleared the ball away. Richard Plesa. Milicic straight to Bolton.
And almost the story of the afternoon there for Sydney United. And I don't think Clint Bolton has been called into action to make a decent save so far this afternoon. Take another check on the clock. About 16 and a half minutes to go. So hard to see the Strikers throwing it away from here. We, of course, those who have been involved in the sport for a long time know that anything can happen in 16 and a half minutes. But the whole momentum of the game is in favour of the home side as Farina tries his luck, and we'll almost forgive him just a moment of indulgence there for what he's achieved for club and state this season. Moric can't get there. The defence still right on the ball. Danny Wright, in fact. Bolton comes.
You were saying earlier, Paul, he hasn't had a shot perhaps to stop, but his work in the air has been superb. To come and collect the ball so cleanly, so far from goal. I mean, he's just added that stability to the Brisbane defence, which has been outstanding. Not just Hunter we've mentioned, Wright and Williams.
Brown players in the centre. Wehrman got there this time on Kalac. It's a corner, and not for the first time in the game. Kalac is complaining to the referee about the challenges coming in at him. As we take another look at the cross, it was whipped into the near post by Brown. Wehrman had every right to go for it at that stage. And amazingly, it's Kalac who's holding his arm. Cranney picks it up. Brown's at the back post. Good ball. Rod Brown there. Just touched away by Kupresak, who again has gone down. Marusic, Bilokovic putting the ball out. Let's take a look at our teammate, says Paul Bilokovic. Micallef has called the trainer on. We're just surveying the wounded in the opposition. There's no doubt at times this season that Sydney United have set some new standards for the way the game can be played in this country. They were absolutely superb in the minor premiership. They drew their first game, then they won 9 on the row. But the second half of the season never matched the first. That fact is being borne out totally here in the grand final. Wehrman goes past a couple, then he's fouled. Play goes on. Marusic, the fastest feet in the Sydney United side. Genc down the left. Is there something still here for Sydney United? It needs to come quickly if it is, and it's a corner. Marusic, plenty of red shirts in there. Bolton can't get there. So close there for Kupresak. He headed the ball into the back of the head of Gwynne. With the goal beckoning. Another corner. Bolton blocked. It's Drilic at the back post. Marusic can't get there. Gwynne did just enough. And Farina toes it back. Sean Cranney again on the gallop. This is dangerous. One-on-one. The 2 number 8. Sean Cranney against Moric. And you feel that Cranney would have the legs of Moric if they did go for the 1v1, but he decided to take the long shot. 20, 3.5 minutes gone in the second half. Hunter still proving to be the immovable object. The Brisbane defence. A change here for the Strikers. It's Jeremy Harris coming on. Chay Hews, who applauds the crowd, who returned the accolade because he did have a great first half, Chay Hews.
One of the performers for Brisbane. Surprise selection, but one that's certainly come off for Brisbane, particularly in that first half from the opening moment when he had that shot to his work out of midfield. It's an area where Brisbane have dominated and he's had a lot to do with it.
Hunter pops a bollocking there off his goalkeeper, Clint Bolton, for being casual there, but Bolton was well placed at the near post. Nothing going right for Sydney United. Brown lost it. Harris kept his eye on the ball. Now Moric bundled off the ball with ease. Gwynne, what a game he's had as well. Kept Marusic quiet and joined in the attack on many an occasion. The cross comes in. Harris, Kupresak got there. Moric goes past his man. Zeljko is just in front of him. David's Zeljko through the centre. He's got a lot to do from there. Troy Cranney, look at the legs from him. Managed to keep it in. Brilliant play from Cranney. Gone past his man. There's a man in the centre. Brown can't get there because Kalac does. A great run from Troy Cranney. He's in the best form of his career, without a doubt. He's the only player in this Brisbane Strikers 11 who's played in every game this season. Marusic. Culina can't get there. Wehrman is fouled. His opposite number 17, Velimir, who's just getting involved in something he doesn't really need to get involved with there. Farina had a bit to say to him. Now, Simon Micallef has already got the yellow card out, so his fate is sealed already. Kupresak got involved as well there in the heat of the moment. Velimir got the yellow card. Tackle there. Velimir came in quickly on Wehrman after Culina had an earlier challenge. Brown turning away. Just 8 minutes on the clock left for Sydney United. It will take an eternity for the Strikers players and fans. Sydney United can find a goal from somewhere, we'd be in for a terrific finish here. As Genc comes forward, deflection. They'll go for a corner. Rudan about to come on. Marusic playing it to Culina. Good ball across. Header over the bar. Zeljko has hardly had a look at goal all day. He finally got his sights there, and his header was just deflected over the bar. Good ball in from Jason Culina. Marusic again, whipping it in. Culina took the volley over the bar. Rudan will come on in place of Paul Velimir. It's a good moment this for Mark Rudan because he's had a disappointing second half of the season. He was badly tackled in a match against Marconi back in It was early February, and he's been injured since then, and he's just been on the comeback trail, similar to Aytek Genc. And he gets a taste of the grand final as Farina firing up his players still, leaving nothing to chance. Players moving. Farina is one. Going to the back post. Kalac comes out. Farina slowly gets back to his feet. Genc just let it run. Well played by him. Rudan. All the way back to Kalac. That's good enough for Brisbane. John, of course, there could only be one winner in a match such as this, and it doesn't look like it's going to go Sydney United's way today, but they can look back on a terrific season nonetheless.
Yeah, they're sad. They're sad. I mean, that stat of only two clubs in the past 9 years have won both the minor premiership and the championship. It says a lot about it. I think no one would argue with Brisbane's superiority today. It hasn't been Sydney United's day at all. The defence led by Hunter has been outstanding. Danny Wright, Williams, Bolton and all. He's a change now with Farina coming off. But it's been Brisbane's day. There's no argument with that. Sad times for Sydney United, but great things for Brisbane and Frankie, who's his first year as a coach. I think his changes and his tactical approach to the game today, I mean, involving Hews early, putting Gwynne on Marusic, all come off. It's been Brisbane's day, and I think the likelihood is a third for Brisbane, more than one for Sydney United. I think the other thing, Paul, is that for the most prolific goal-scoring team in the history of National Soccer League, which is Sydney United, they have not had one strike on goal today, and that says a lot about the team performance of Brisbane.
And this Suncorp statistic too haunts Sydney United. They haven't managed to score here now in 3 visits this season, which is quite extraordinary. And the place just erupted when Frank Farina went off. Reece Tollenaere is the player who came on in Frank's place. What a moment for him, and he's had some moments in his career with teams in Europe, with Bari and FC Bruges, Strasbourg of France, but never has he played in front of 40,000 people in his hometown, in his home state. Finished on the winning side, which looks likely here this afternoon. 3 minutes on the clock. Plesa still hopeful of something. Good cross in. Milicic at the back, but Danny Wright. Well, such a distinguished career for Danny Wright as well is coming to an end. Moric. Still no way through. No way past Hunter. That has been the message sent out loud and clear, and Carlton Soccer Club must be delighted with the purchase that they have made. Alan Hunter will move to Melbourne and captain Carlton next season. 32 years of age now. As the Brisbane bench gets a look at the action, Matt Bell to come on. And it's Gwynne, who's had a superb match today. And that fact is recognised by all of the supporters here. And Frank Farina, who's built this side based on experience and youth. Here's another young player. Just a sniff of the grand final with a couple of minutes remaining. Soccer has swept through the state of Queensland like a bushfire that's out of control in this last fortnight. And like Ian Rosasco, the many hours and years of work that they put into the code up here, a moment like this makes it all worthwhile as Wehrman takes over, as he has done for most of the game. Milicic can't get there. Bell with his first touch. The crowd thought the whistle had gone for 90 minutes, but they were mistaken. There's still a couple to go. Tollenaere turning away. Marusic fouled. Culina into the penalty area, waiting for support. It's come from Drillers, but they're still swarming around. 3 Brisbane shirts onto just one Sydney United player. They're not prepared to give anything up, even at this stage of the game. There are no chances being taken. Here's Kupresak. He won't finish his career on the high that he had hoped for. Rudan miscontrolled it. Tollenaere to Wehrman. Tollenaere full of legs and enthusiasm. Babic got there first. So we're now into time added on here. There won't be too much of that. There's hardly been a stern word from Simon Micallef all day. 3 yellow cards in the game, which is a little on the light side for a grand final. As we look at the Brisbane bench, there's Andy Brayshaw at the near side there. Farina right in the thick of things, and spare a thought for Wayne Knight as well. Milicic still with a dance in his stride, to no avail. Kupresak wins it in the air. Rudan back to Kupresak. Wehrman, good ball in behind the defence. Sean Cranney on the gallop again. He'll get there. Is there a third for Brisbane here? Brown's in the centre. Corner ball. Farina is enjoying this moment like no other, I'm sure. He's on his feet watching the game. He's surrounded by press photographers and television cameras. Kalac gets the free kick.
66-1, babe.
Right, with just a comment there about the odds on Brisbane. Before the season, they were 66-1. But Brisbane have struck gold here with the 1997 Ericsson Cup. Well, the emotion of the occasion is just too much, I'm sure, for most of the players and supporters. Unbelievable scenes of joy here. The Strikers have done it. Just look at the celebrations of the players there. The likes of Phillips and Wright, and Hunter, the veterans, just hugging the likes of Hews and Bell and Tollenaere, Wehrman, the young players, the future of the game here in this state. And it all started with the maestro himself, Frank Farina, 3 minutes into the second half with a goal which highlighted that the reflexes are still as sharp as ever. 20 minutes later, Rod Brown, the veteran, in search of the all-time record of NSL goals. Well, he got the second, and that was just too much for Sydney United. Spare a thought for them, for their sparkling champagne style of football has done the league proud this season. But it wasn't their day today. It's the day of the Strikers. Brisbane Strikers 2, Sydney United 0. Kyle Patterson is down on the ground.
Thanks very much, Paul Williams. Well, Frank Farina's been kissing everyone here, including me. Frank Farina, I'll just throw it over to you. You are a living legend.
Oh, mate, these are the boys, everyone in yellow, mate. They did fantastically well. I'm just proud to be associated with the club. And this day will go down in history in Australian soccer, that's for sure.
It's a fairy tale, it's a sellout crowd, it's a record crowd. You're the player coach, you're a rookie coach, we keep forgetting. You score the first goal. I mean, my God, what else can go right today?
Mate, it's a dream come true, honestly. It's an absolute fairy tale ride for us this year. And everyone said we couldn't do it, well, we did it, mate, in front of a sellout crowd at Suncorp Stadium, 40,000 plus, I don't know. But, mate, I'd have to say this is the greatest day of my career.
You were the underdogs despite having the home crowd advantage, and your tactical moves this morning, when you made them, really paid off. Gwynne onto Marusic was a great move. Moving around the United, you never let them play.
Gwynne on Marusic did a fantastic job. Look, they're a good side. City United haven't been a good side all season. I think the crowd helped us a real lot today. Have to pay tribute to them. It's a fantastic achievement. Thanks.
And Frank, how can you top this? Will you continue playing next year or concentrate on the coaching?
Mate, I'll still pull the boots on if I feel I'm doing a job, mate, but I don't know how long the legs will hold out. But I'm just very happy. And, mate, we had our runnings this year with the SBS boys, but, mate, at the end of the day, I think soccer's been the big winner today.
Give me another kiss, you big winner.
Oh,
That's Frank Farina, the winning captain coach of the Brisbane Strikers. Fantastic atmosphere in the mayhem. Let's go and cross to Mike Tollenaere.
Yes, Kyle, what an atmosphere. What a fantastic moment for Australian football. One of the most influential players on the field today, Alan Hunter. How special is this?
Oh, I don't know about that, mate. I mean, it's special, but you've got 11 guys there, 14 guys. Just look at this crowd, mate. It's the greatest day for Australian soccer as far as I'm concerned, and the greatest day certainly for Queensland soccer. And I'm just so proud to be leading this side tonight. And last game, you know, it's a bit sad, but I can tell you what, we're going to party. This is fantastic to all those people out there, supporters. It's great.
But this is really fairy tale stuff, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It's what dreams are made of. Ian Brazasko will tell you that, you know, we've been dreaming about this since we were little kids, most of us. So I think it was a fairy tale that came true, and we've been dreaming about it for a long time now, and I think we deserved it today. We put our chances away. We created a bit more in the second half. What can I say? Hyundai, the sponsors, have been magnificent to us this time, and we want to repay them the best way we can. And what else can we do? Grand final. I mean, this is what soccer's all about.
And those in the south said you couldn't do it.
Well, you know, these guys are a great side. They've proved that they're a great side all year. They're top of the table, champion side. I mean, the first half was a game, I think, open football. Both sides played really good stuff, entertaining, and that's what this crowd deserves. Greatest game in the world. That's what it's all about.
Well done, Alan Hunter. Well, a very happy man, Les. Back to you now.
Thank you, Michael. And history has been made at the Suncorp Stadium today. And among those here to see it, among the 40,000, was our national coach, Terry Venables. Terry, thanks for joining us on the set.
Lovely bit.
It's a historic day. You've seen big games like this, of course, as have some of us, but not too many of us in Australian club football have. What did you think of it today?
It was good. It was exciting, and it was a terrific atmosphere. I mean, it couldn't have been better. And the first half, I thought, was even Steven. It could have gone either way. And you felt the first team to score would win the game. And when they did score, actually, Strikers, you felt they could get another one, because they did leave themselves pretty well open at the back.
What swung it their way, do you think? The home thing, or
the ball went under, I can't remember which defender, went under his foot, and of course Farina was latched onto it quick, slid it away, and that made the difference.
Now, Terry, you've put yourself in the spot here, sitting in here, facing the music, because you didn't pick any Brisbane players in the squad, and here you are, here they are doing this to you. What are you going to say about that?
It's two separate things. I would have picked Farina, I think, but he doesn't want to play.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me, what were the highlights for you? I mean, the performances of the players. You were saying, as we were talking to Alan Hunter, that he had a great game.
I thought Hunter and Bolton played very well. They hardly put a foot wrong right throughout the game. Steady and influences, both of them. And I thought those two did particularly well. And the front two boys done their job too. They finished off.
All right, Terry, stay with us. Let's go to Kyle Patterson now, who's got the losing coach, Sydney United coach, Branko Culina, with him.
Thanks, Les. In an absolute sea of jubilation here, a personal sorrow, personal tragedy for Branko Culina and the team. Didn't work out the way you wanted it to.
Oh, no, it's a great day for... disappointed I am with the result, but it's a great day for soccer, a great day for Brisbane, and no one can take it away from them. They fully deserved it today.
Ultimately, the atmosphere here was just absolutely awesome for you guys to come and play. It was at the difference, because a few of your guys seemed to freeze.
Yeah, we certainly didn't play as well as we're capable, but that's football. it can happen, but fully well-deserved win by Brisbane. They were hungrier, they wanted the ball more, and maybe that's something for us to learn for the future.
What do you take away from a season that promised so much, and you got to the grand final, which was your first time as Sydney United coach? A lot of achievements, but this may well sour the whole experience.
Oh no, it's another experience for all of us, myself and the players. We've had some wonderful times during the season, and it's just a pity that we couldn't do the double.
Okay, Branko Culina, fantastic season. You were the minor premiers. I know it doesn't probably feel like much now, but fantastic. And you played some great football this year and contributed to this being a great day. Thank you very much, and commiserations.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, from the commiserations to Branko Culina, let's now cross to Mike Tollenaere.
Kyle, one of the most emotional players in Sydney United over the last few years has been Ante Milicic. He's absolutely devastated here, in tears. He thought this was going to be the day, and Ante, it just didn't happen.
No, well, I mean, we weren't good enough on the day, and you know that's the name of soccer. It's a one-off game, and although I still believe we were a great side, it just wasn't to be today.
I guess the most consistent side doesn't necessarily win grand finals.
Yeah, well, that's true. You know, full credit to Brisbane. You know, they beat us here, they beat us well, and you know it's just a shame that you know such a great side's come to an end.
I got the impression that you guys just weren't hungry today, as opposed to the Strikers.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, I think they wanted it more than us as a whole, and things fell their way, and you can say what you want now. They got the cup, and you can do what you want now.
Ante, you've been through this before, but I mean, you must feel it'll never come to you.
Yeah, well, I honestly thought this was the year, you know, the way we played this year, and who knows what's going to happen next year. It looks like most of us we part in company, and I thought this would be our swan song to win it all together. You know, great bunch of guys, great club. I love the club, the players, the supporters and everything, but it's just a shame it wasn't to be.
Okay, I won't keep you, but look, you're still one of the best strikers in Australia. Don't ever forget that. Enjoy. Back to you now, Les.
Thank you, Michael. Ante Milicic, of course, who has played brilliantly all season for Sydney United. Branko Culina, of course, leaving tomorrow for Malaysia to do some work with the Australian youth team at the World Youth Championship. We'll take a short break, and when we return, more post-match colour and more with Terry Venables. Welcome back to Suncorp Stadium, where the presentations have begun. Firstly, I gather the losing medals, or the losers' medals, will be handed out. Terry Venables, as we look at the Brisbane side there, let's pause for a moment for the losers, Sydney United, who turned on the show for you on many occasions, Ante Milicic among them. What do you think went wrong for them today?
Well, they've played good football all season, and consistent football. There's no doubt about it. They've been outstanding. I saw them several times, and I was very impressed with them all around the side. They just didn't compete. They played very, very good football, but they smothered them today. Brisbane's plan, obviously, was to make sure they didn't give them an inch, and they were going in, even taking the chances to spoil and maybe sell themselves and lose out, but they were getting the breaks, and they were really hustling and breaking up any combination play that Sydney wanted to play.
There were some complaints about the quality of the surface, Terry, which would not have suited Sydney United's way of playing, would it? I've
got to go along with it 100%. I was very disappointed and very surprised. I mean, you've got two teams here that have played football all season, and like all the clubs have, and they come to the big prize, which is the grand final. They've got a fantastic crowd. You all must be thrilled to see a crowd like that for our game here. And the surface didn't do them justice. I mean, they're expecting to produce top-class football. You've got to give them a top-class surface. And that's no criticism of anyone in particular. I don't know the background, but a ground for a final should be the best possible surface. And then if the football's not good, you can blame the players. You're not quite sure today. You're saying, well, they didn't play well, but they like to get it down and play, and the surface was poor. The first goal come from a bad bounce, and you can look for those excuses, wrong or rightly, but nevertheless, that surface wasn't good enough for those two teams today, in my opinion.
Tell me about the pattern of the game, how it unfolded, and you would have been involved in many crunch games like this, and it often happens that the first half is very unresolved, and then suddenly things begin to open up in the second half.
Well, like all important games, there's so much on it for both sides. They're sparring for the first 20 minutes. Neither side really looks, although there was a cracking shot in the first couple of minutes, and Kalac made a great save from that. Apart from that, they were fencing and filling each other out, and I felt after about 25 minutes Sydney started to put a few moves together. But they then got back on top of that, and at half-time, it was definitely evens, in my opinion. And then the second half, the Strikers got a goal, and then really on the day, you've got to say Strikers were the best side in the day. You've got to be fair enough to accept that.
After seeing what you saw today, and albeit on a less than perfect surface, and you've seen quite a few games in Australia now, what is your evaluated view of the technical standard of Australia?
I think it's good. I really do think it's good. I wouldn't have come here if I didn't think it was good, and I've been very impressed. And the young element of the team, I mean, 2 young boys in midfield for Strikers today, I thought played very, very well. Wehrman and Hews, was it? Yes. But I thought they played very, very well. And the youth that's coming through, I think you've got some star quality coming through as well.
Exactly. And the standard of coaching?
Well, I haven't seen a lot of coaching, but you can see from the teams that they know what they're doing, so I would imagine it's very good, and I would like to get a lot closer to that.
Okay, well, the presentations are underway here at the Suncorp Stadium. A fabulous occasion here, 40,000 plus crowd. There is the Brisbane Strikers, who, of course, turned the corner. They did qualify for the top 6 playoffs last season, but, of course, they were in amongst the leaders this season as well. You were saying, Terry, that you would select Frank if he made himself available. He's still a fine player.
He's playing hard to get,
Very far. Well, I don't know how far he can go with that one. But he's been a fabulous striker for Australia, a fabulous scorer, a leading scorer in the Belgian First Division, played in the Serie A, also the French First Division. There is the Ericsson Cup, for which all the toil and the sweat has been going all through the summer and the autumn here in Australia. And what a great picture that is, that full house at the Suncorp Stadium. There are the players, Mark Babic, the big defender at the back. Terry, he didn't have such a bad game.
No, I thought he played well. Yeah, I thought he played very well.
Ante Moric behind him in the midfield. Didn't see too much of him today. Trajkovski, who earned the wrath of the referee today, played quite well, I thought. Zeljko Kalac, one of your squad members, didn't play too badly either.
No, he done all right. I don't think he could have done much about either of the goals. They're both good goals.
David Zdrilic will be joining Terry Venables later in the month for some international activities. And Richard Plesa, who came in as the sweeper today, and he didn't fail to perform either. But just overall, it wasn't Sydney United's day. Consistency is the key when you win the minor premiership, but then of course you've got to produce something special in the crunch games. And of course, Terry, the big problem for Sydney United was that they didn't manage to get into the grand final first, and therefore have the home venue.
Yeah, I just got the feeling it would have been even more of a competitive game if Sydney had scored first. I think the pressure would have really been on. But I think Sydney, when I've seen them, if they do go a goal down, they're inclined to chase the game a bit. And you're not surprised if counter-attacks hurt them on the break.
Okay, well, it must be a terrific feeling for Frank Farina, who's seen it all in his career. Alan Hunter is the captain, don't forget, having played his last game for the Brisbane Strikers, and he steps up to collect the winner's medal. Let's take a bit of the ground announcements now. Holding up the trophy, and he must be pleased to get his hands on it, even though he didn't get his feet onto the ground today because of that freak injury in a clash with Alan Hunter at training yesterday. So a bit of bad luck for him. It's a bit of a heartbreak for players when they play so well through the season, and that has to happen to them. But the Brisbane Strikers squad had sufficient depth to carry the day. We were saying before the game, Terry, that whichever team can cope with the pressure most is going to win this one. And there are a few old heads in the Brisbane side who are more suited to coping with this kind of pressure.
Well, I think that helps. I mean, we all, when you're young, when you hear people talking about guys having experience, you think, oh, that's nothing, you know, and because you're young, you've got youth. The thing that is important is to try and get players with experience, but still retain the enthusiasm, because you can have experience and you've really had enough of the game, and so therefore you're not as valuable as a younger guy. But if you can keep that enthusiasm with the experience, it is so beneficial to a team.
And of course, with the as far as the enthusiasm is concerned, that came almost naturally for Brisbane today, being on this ground.
You don't need to motivate players in the cup final.
Indeed. Well, there is this thing about Brisbane taking an awful lot of joy out of beating anything from Sydney, or from Melbourne for that matter. And this must be a heartwarming sight for all Queenslanders. They've done it in a lot of other sports, and for the first time now, they've done it in this one as well. Absolutely. Let's listen to Frank Farina.
Today, I'm very proud to be a Queenslander. Each and every one of you who came here today should also be proud to be a Queenslander. This will go down in Australian soccer history. A full house at Suncorp Stadium, who would have ever dreamt about it, let alone seen it? Each and every one of you have played a part in this victory today, and on behalf of the Strikers, the team, thank you very much, and we'll see you all next year. You're a bunch of champions.
Frank Farina, the proudest man in the country at this very moment, and he was right. I mean, having that sort of crowd behind you is worth half a goal or a 12th player. Terry, you would have experienced that on occasions at in the places where you've worked, Barcelona, Spurs, England.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's great to get a crowd behind you. It gives you a lift. It gives you something more, and that is what you need and what you want. And on a big game like today, both teams are highly motivated. There's no doubt about that. But to have that extra charge behind you doesn't do any harm at all. And I've experienced it, and it's a thrill. And to win and lift a cup like that in front of your own crowd is something special.
Okay, now the hard part comes now, of course. It's a hard act to follow to win the championship. You would have had a tough season after you won the league in Spain with Barcelona. I'm sure you would agree. And so they have to regroup almost straight away and plan for next season.
Let them enjoy tonight first and that one day.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Brisbane Strikers are the champions of Australia. Okay, well, we'll go back to more pictures from the presentation ceremony and the after-match joy in a moment, but we're going to thank our national coach, Terry Venables, now for joining us today.
That's a pleasure.
Terry, enjoyed your comments. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed the football.
I did. I enjoyed the whole day. It was good.
Terrific. And we'll, of course, be backing you and your team later in the month when the World Cup qualifies.
I hope so.
Thanks, Terry. Good to see you.
Thanks.
All the best.
Good.
Okay, that's Terry Venables, our national coach, who's, of course, taking charge of the Socceroos later in the month for those World Cup qualifiers against the Solomon Islands and Tahiti. And, of course, provided Australia wins that round of matches, it'll be the matches against New Zealand, or presumably New Zealand. There's Frank with his young son, and a very proud young son. That's a moment that he, I'm sure, will treasure for a long time. Frank Farina, who started his career in the north of Queensland, went to Canberra, then joined Sydney City in the mid-80s. Then Marconi had a fabulous career there, won championship medals there before he embarked overseas to play in Belgium, in Italy and in France. And here, what one assumed would have been his the twilight of his career, he comes and does this and calls it the high point of his entire career. Let's have a recap of the 2 goals that decided the issue today, as Andy Harper and Johnny Warren rejoin us in the set. Johnny, talk us through this one.
Well, it was the decider, wasn't it? The game needed that touch. Hews supplied it. The bounce that Terry Venables was talking about before, but great finish from Frank. I mean, that's a real professional finish. Half a chance, put away. Kalac's no chance. And from that moment on, of course, they weren't to be headed.
And it was poetry that Frank scored it, Andy.
Yeah, I thought so. Look, the 2 old heads at the front there, Brownie and Frank, both instrumental in the final result. And I thought Rod Brown, having played a big part in that one and scoring the second one, needs to be congratulated. He's a toiler. No one really pays Brownie a lot of credit, but he's a very difficult opponent, and he scores his fair share of goals.
Shields the ball terrifically.
Yeah, a terrific result in the end, and Brisbane were magnificent in that second half.
This counter-attack, the second goal, is fabulous stuff. It was always on, wasn't it? Once Culina made the change to play man for man at the back, the risk was you're going to be caught out.
Well, that's a quality finish. I mean, that could have bounced anywhere onto his shin, and Brownie's nailed that. He's done an excellent job. Very telling that there was one of the Cranney boys too who whipped in that ball. We were riding that one all the way home, Les, and telling him what to do. If they wanted to score, he did just that. And Brownie, look at this for a crisp finish. Perfect.
Fabulous. And there are 2 players to play it to there. But the Cranney brothers came alive in the second half, didn't they, Andy?
Yeah, I thought so. If Branko Culina at half-time wanted more flank play from his side, he'd be very disappointed with that second half because they just didn't get it, frankly, and the reverse was certainly the case for the Strikers.
It was. Well, it was a fabulous day, a long day for all of us here. I hope you enjoyed it, and I think you and the 3 of us will agree, a very historic day indeed. Johnny, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for your hard work through the season. And for you, Andy, the newest member of the SBS crew.
Thanks for having me.
And that's SBS's coverage of the 1997 Ericsson Cup Grand Final. Brisbane Strikers are the champions, and of course we'll be back at the start of next summer for the 1997-98 National Soccer League season. For the moment, thank you for joining us today from a most enjoyable Brisbane. Good night to you all.
Fantastic. You guys are 10 and 9, 10 and 7.